This is our comparison episode for the best compact SUV, with the Toyota RAV4 versus the Honda CRV versus the Nissan Qashqai versus the Ford Escape or Ford Kuga versus the Mazda CX-5 versus the Toyota Corolla Cross versus the VW Taos versus the Kia Sportage versus VW Tiguan and Skoda Kodiaq. Which one would I actually take of these? Which one have which kind of pros and cons? Let's dig into the details and later on go to a full conclusion, and also tell me in the comments after you've watched all these reviews, which one would you actually take? Let's go.
So many fancy new cars out there, but what are people really buying? This year, the Toyota RAV4, still one of the best SUV bestsellers. Why is that actually? Let's find out together with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with all the details of the current model. And we have it here in a special version, the GR Sport. Wow, what a look here for the RAV4. Not only that it's like this okay, like normal practical car. No, it can also be really sporty. Look at that, this black mesh grille here. Also in the lower part, sporty accentuations. And it works very well with the contrast to the white exterior color. Modern daytime running lights. So I think they got a really nice rugged off-road look here for the RAV4. Usually it starts at 17-inch wheels. These ones here are 18-inch winter tires, but you can also get usually 19-inch then for the GR Sport model. Turning indicators in the front, pretty tiny, however, still fancy. And because they have this element underneath, it shines into that. And then again, I think the size is okay. Interesting, isn't it? Turning indicators in the rear, not so fancy, however, it's a nice signature here with the running light, and overall the rear design is pretty cool, especially in the GR Sport. Look at that black contrast, and then we have this silver one right here. Once again, this mesh grille and no fake exhaust at all. So I really like it also from this rugged, clean rear design. 4.60 m or 181 inches is the length of the RAV4. Just right in that segment where it's not too big, but not too small. The VW Tiguan or the Hyundai Tucson or the Honda CRV would be typical competitors. Here the GR Sport gets the black contrasting roof that fits the vehicle also pretty well, and another black contrast in the lower part here. And as I said, you can also get bigger wheels if you then stick with the summer tires, for example. This is the key fob, simple. And then you might think, oh, wait a minute, this is the remote for the independent heating or something. No, it's not. This one is an additional security token because even burglars love the RAV4. The Lexus RX and the Toyota RAV4 are among the most stolen vehicles in Europe. And that's why they have this additional security token. You cannot start the vehicle without it. It's a good thing that they do something against it, because also insurance costs are rising for these vehicles. Yeah, but on the other hand, it's kind of like, clunky, then a little bit here in the pocket. Yeah, but you see, people love that vehicle, obviously also because of the reliability and so on. The RAV4 is a very reliable car. Rankings have more and more shown that. Then the door closing sound is not that special. That's nothing where Toyota pays special attention to. But here on the inside of the doors, nice leatherette covering. You can really see how it's also soft underneath. I really like that. Simple, however, more the equipment here for the doors and so on, and hard pack in the lower part. Also no covering here from the inside. Then GR Sport steering wheel, special with this version. Also contrast stitches on the inside, real buttons at the steering wheel. New digital instruments with this update here now. And these GR Sport seats have microfiber on the inside. That's pretty fancy. Other than that, you also get fabric or leatherette then for the RAV4, depending on the market situation. And it's really nice from the comfort, also from the ergonomics, and enough space with 189 or 6'2". Really good also for tall adults. That's also why people appreciate the RAV4. It's comfortable, it's simple, straightforward. You exactly know what you're doing. Steering wheel, by the way, easily up and down, in and out. Manual control. Then we have a good view to these new digital instruments. They also switch according to the driving modes. Then that looks pretty fancy, doesn't it? We also have a head-up display that's projected into the windshield. And then when we take a look at the overview here with the soft touch leatherette, also soft touch on this top part. Ooh, and I love this here, this manual climate unit. It's really large. You can control it just while driving blindfolded. That's actually cool. And also here the vent strength Everything easy and straightforward. Also here, the seat heating, nice switch, and also from the acoustic feedback, that's how it's supposed to be. New updated 10.5-inch infotainment system. This is here the Apple CarPlay integration, also works wireless. Android Auto is also available. And then here, this is then the normal main menu. Here you can, for example, see the energy flow, but they kept it actually pretty simple that mainly people will use here the hotkey for the CarPlay or the Android Auto integration, but you still have a manual volume jog here. And that's a good feedback also, so everything I need. Passenger side, there's a nice structure here on the inside of this cubby hole. Then the glove box is actually also dampened, that's nice. And then the middle console, I really like this large off-road like shifting lever, why not? And then you also have the drive mode selector, push for normal, right side for sport mode, for example. It also gives a nice feedback, so yeah, pretty cool. And here this then the trail button to set everything for off-road driving. In the front you have inductive charging pad, which you can activate or deactivate. USB-A charger. The cup holes are really deeply in there, and then they're also adaptive, but everything's actually very well built here. Then the leatherette cover for this one. This one could be a little bit more fixed, I would say. Underneath, even more of that off-road light structure, and underneath more space and 2 USB-C chargers. The rear mirror can also be flipped, and then you have the rear camera mirror when everything in the rear is maybe fully packed. Rear seating, here the rear doors. Oh, there's a nice leatherette cover also on the top part here. So I like that build quality. Hardback just in the lower part. This trim here even has seat heating for the rear seats. Wow. Then also the nice microfiber inserts on the rear seats. You can, by the way, put these rear bench here a little bit, a little bit more upright like this. Then you have more trunk or sit more upright, and then you can put it in the more laid back position. The middle seat here is also usable, so it is actually suitable for 5 tall adults. And here the rear legroom also fits into the front seats. Headroom like this with 189 or 6'2". Very comfortable indeed, and a lot of space. So that's also one of the reasons why it's so, so popular. Just not adaptive here, these cup holders, but I think we can live with that. The thing that is counting is the space, and also really a good comfort. 2 USB-C chargers, by the way, now at the rear middle console. Trunk or boot, here with the electric hatch, around 520 liters. And let's see, what's really special is the width here. This is like 120 in meters or 47 inches. That's really impressive. And the still same here, just a little bit narrower here. This is this rugged all-weather mat. You don't have to go for it. There's a fabric underneath, and here space for the charging cable if you have done the plug-in hybrid version. And the normal length, like 95 centimeters or 37 inches. So very well usable trunk. To fold the seats, you can reach over like this, or then go around, so both is actually possible. Engines, 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, non-hybrid, like a North American market, then the hybrid, which is all over the place actually in all markets, front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and then the plug-in hybrid version, also called Prime in the Northern American market, over 300 horsepower then system output. Rear electric motor to give you that all-wheel drive then in this case, and 6 seconds in the acceleration figure. That's 2 to 2.5 seconds quicker than the other version then for the normal inbuilt hybrid. We'll also see if that makes sense. The net battery capacity here is about 14.5 kilowatt hours. So you will get some 60-70 kilometers of daily real-world range, so around 30-40 miles. Charging flap, by the way, is not so cool, I would say. 6.6 kilowatt, so also not too quick. Yeah, but then again, it's also not a really large battery. You really have to think about if the plug-in hybrid makes sense. It rather makes sense in markets where there are governmental subsidies and so on. Other than that, the built-in hybrid will also be very efficient. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Toyota RAV4 Prime or plug-in hybrid. But everything I say will count for the hybrid and for the plug-in hybrid version, with some specifics here about the plug-in hybrid. So pure electric is 135 kilometers an hour, like 83 miles an hour. Then you can drive just on the electric mode here. The battery is of course bigger than with the inbuilt hybrid, but what is even more interesting is when I have it here kinda depleted, there still, is always like a buffer And so even when I go to sports mode now and we do the acceleration, let's see if we can still get the whole boost. So here we'll start from 50 kilometers an hour and accelerate it out. Safety first. Let's go. Plop, that's 100. 120. Yeah, I mean, of course, it doesn't sound that great when you don't have like a real gearbox with different gears and so on. But it's surprisingly powerful here for a Toyota, because they usually don't focus on good acceleration. But here, this plug-in hybrid version still gives you that power from that buffer. I mean, in most situations, you will have more, like the full power still, even if you haven't freshly recharged, because it keeps this buffer, unless you do like, like really some very extreme brake acceleration, like, then maybe not, so, but in most cases it's still there and it's actually fine. And I have tested it now for quite a while, and I have to say, with some plug-in hybrids, they don't really work like the inbuilt hybrids when the battery is depleted and you have quite high fuel consumption. But here it does work. So you can score some similar fuel economy, somewhat like 5 or even a little bit less than 5 liters on 100 kilometers. So that's a good 50 mpg US or even some 60 mpg UK. And that's of course amazing for a car at that size. Really well done. And that also counts for the inbuilt hybrid, because you can use it in the very same way. So when I lift my foot off the throttle, then it depends on, what's the status of the engine and how much electric consumers are on the inside. You also have this energy meter where you can check it out. So sometimes when you lift your foot off the throttle directly, the EV mode goes on. Sometimes not. It really depends then. And you can also induce it here with the EV mode, or you can also put the battery hold mode to recharge the battery while driving. But that's not really an efficient thing to do. Best is actually to leave the vehicle in the auto mode and let the vehicle do its thing. Here now at 120 kilometers an hour, so like 70 miles an hour, let's do the lane change here. Suspension is a good setting actually. So it is not unsporty, it's not uncomfortable. I think they found exactly the right spot here, equipped with 18-inch winter tires. If you would have the 19-inch summer tires here for the GR Sport, of course the ride would be a little bit stiffer. But it feels good here on the German Autobahn. The only thing, and since we test a lot of German cars here, you're always asking me like, what is then the difference when I get the Toyota, for example? Yeah, it's not that silent on the motorway at higher speeds. So they don't pay the biggest attention to the noise insulation. Then again, they score better reliability figures, So from the comfort, the seats are actually quite nice. Also with the microfiber insert here in the GR Sport. They hold you tight, yet at the same time they give you good comfort. I can very well imagine long mileage in this vehicle. The only thing that is somewhat annoying is when you're driving a little bit faster, then it's kind of noisy here. That I have to say. And of course, even though the suspension is fine and the steering is also fine, so there's not a dead zone area, precise commands on the road. But the overall feeling of this vehicle, especially at higher speeds, when you then do a lane change, it's not that it would be much fun to drive, So the agility and driving dynamics from the Germans, that is what they do better also in this segment here. Now let's put it to even more speeds. Let's see if we can score top speed here as well. It's a little bit windy outside today. But nevertheless, getting quite noisy now. 180 is like 185, 186, on the brakes. Then recuperation is setting in. Yeah, and the sound from the engine is of course not the most pleasant one, but still you feel very controlled and safe in that vehicle here. Lift my foot off the throttle and I'm in the EV mode. So engine is not running, and also the transitions here between the motorways. Here, when I steer it now, I have a good steering feeling, but it's not exactly fun to do it here, It's not bad. I still enjoy driving it because I love driving cars, but this vehicle doesn't give you this fun agility feeling, That is also not the focus of this vehicle. You just have to know that, you know. So even though it promises here GR Sport and so on, that's more the visual part. Yes, the suspension is a little bit stiffer in the setup here in the GR Sport. That is true. However, I don't feel that it would make a big difference. And also when you're driving over some bumps or so on, it's not unpleasant or so. So that's actually fine from that setup. Yeah, here, you know, when accelerating, it always sounds like the engine is a little bit struggling, but it also has to do with the transmission setup. Here we go. Lane change here. Yeah, I think I would rather enjoy driving some slower speeds and just enjoying the fuel economy, which is really great, and not racing this car out, basically. By the way, if we switch back to the normal, we just push it here, and then again, lifting my foot off the throttle. It's also a different visualization. Here in this case, then, not the EV mode is on, a little bit too quick. So it always depends then. The electric moments you rather use in the city, actually. So for example here, lift my foot over the throttle, EV mode, when I'm at lower speeds, or like city traffic and so on, then you're often driving in the EV mode, even though when you use the plug-in hybrid with the almost depleted battery and use it like the inbuilt hybrid, most of the time in the city you are driving EV. So when I was doing some, city driving and so on, and there is this meter also in the instruments that tells you how's the percentage of the EV driving. And at this moment with motorway, it's like, even then it's like 1/4 of EV driving. Even, higher speed motorway, because sometimes you go over the throttle and so on. But in city traffic only, I had figures like 3/4 of the time, like 75% of the time, I was driving pure electric. And that's of course amazing. If you can recharge, that will of course make sense when you have the plug-in hybrid. Then of course you have 100% if you like. That always depends then on your driving profile and how and where you can recharge. But why is it so popular? Great fuel economy, especially then in the hybrid versions. Good price-performance ratio. It drives very well. Yes, it's not the most engaging drive, but it's also very reliable and has so much space here. Yeah, these are all the reasons why it's still one of the best sellers. One of the most sold SUVs worldwide is still the Honda CRV. Why is that actually? And is it the same, or will it be the same in this new generation here? We're going to find out with Thomas in Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with the front, and I really have to say, I love it. Not only that it's a nice blue color, but look at that front grille. It looks really strong and almost kind of off-road-ish. Whereas more and more SUVs go in the very round direction and streamlined, so to speak. This one with a very cool, strong design here, also with the daytime running light integration. So I love it design-wise. That's also one of the main reasons why people still go for the CRV. Here in the side profile we can see 4.71 m or 185 inches. It's about 8 centimeters or 3 inches longer than the predecessor, so a little bit longer than before. Wheels here in this case black with 18-inch. You can also get 19-inch wheels. These are in this case then here also winter tires. And once again, a very upright design, more focused on the space on the inside, because the second reason why people go for the CRV is it has like an ideal size. It's not too big, but it's also not too small. And it always has a lot of space on the inside, so also families go for the CRV. Here in the rear, vertical design of the tail lamps, I think is also rather a type. Wait a minute. Isn't that, don't you see like Volvo, like Volvo XC60? Michelle also thought that. Yeah, definitely Volvo design in the rear, right? But I mean, in a good way, isn't it? And here in the lower part, Autogefühl fake exhaust police here. These are pure fake exhaust. Yeah, I think they could have lived without it. By the way, here it says CRV AWD, so that's an all-wheel drive version, front plus rear on demand, that's the system. And here it says EHEV, so we'll soon talk about the different engines. But there's one difference already here in the rear, I can tell you, it's the towing. With the inbuilt hybrid, 750 kilograms of towing. With the plug-in hybrid, it's actually double, 1.5 tons. And then, once again, different for the pure petrol engine that you can get in the US. And you might see that in the front next to the increased wheelbase. Here you can see wider tracks now, and we'll see in the driving part if this also translates into a better drive. So on the Northern American market, you can get a 1.5 liter turbo, that's like the entry-level engine. And here in European market, you only get here the inbuilt hybrid. That works in a very interesting way, 3 different ways. It can directly power the wheels, the combustion engine. It can drive electric, and also the combustion engine can serve as a generator. So 3 different ways of driving with that one. And then there's also a plug-in hybrid available now, so you can recharge that one externally. The inbuilt hybrid will be the more important engine sales-wise, however. Key fob, nothing special, but also nothing bad at all. Let's check out the door closing sound. It's actually nice and solid. Also here from the panel gaps and so on. Also very massive, this door handle. Then inside of the doors is also a soft touch and also a structure. So that is nicely done. Look at that inlet here, beautiful. Also the handle. Oh, some galvanization also around the window levers. So I like the build quality. Just no felt inside covering here. Yeah, but so far looks really good. Then the steering wheel with real buttons control, and even has some clicking sounds. It's cool. Also straightforward design, heated steering wheel, button on the steering wheel. I love that. And they have this mesh structure here on the dashboard. Here at the air vents, for example, continues further on to the cockpit, and soft touch also on the top part here with a structure. This looks like really good build quality. The only thing is here in Europe, so these seats are the only ones you can get. It's a mix of leatherette and animal leather, so I'm not sure which part is which one, but that's the only one you can get in Europe now. So far, you could always get the fabric seats as well. You can still get them in the US, and I think they should also offer it as an entry in the European market to be more animal friendly. Then here, this is the version with panoramic roof, but still some headroom left with 189 or 6'2". Yeah, but this is a real panoramic roof still. You can open as well. Wow, it's actually not that loud from the mechanism and opens quite wide. There we go. So I like that. Yeah, CRV convertible. You can also apply the electric shade to the panoramic roof, by the way, so when it's really, really sunny. Then here the cockpit. Wow, that looks really premium, I have to say. Look at that. Here this mesh structure looks sports car-like. Then once again the soft touch dashboard. And you would start in some base versions, for example on the Northern American market, in 7-inch with the screen. This is here the 9-inch screen, standard in Europe. And it still has a manual control here with the volume knob. That's cool. See here Apple CarPlay, Android Auto integration. Also wireless available, and the Honda menu itself is kept relatively simple, straightforward. Big individual buttons, you cannot do so much, but it's also not necessary. We can, for example, take a look at this power flow meter when we drive the car later on. And if you want to go to the home menu, press the button. Wow, I mean, I really love this straightforward user interface. Continued in the lower part, like this one here. And once again, clicking sounds. Audi goes away from that solution. Honda says, hold my Japanese beer. We're going to go for Audi controls here for the climate unit, also for the fan speed. This feels premium. It looks premium. Yeah, and it also listens to as premium. Seat heating, seat cooling, individual controls. That's what I want to have in a car, this straightforward user interface. In lower part, charging USB-A or USB-C. Inductive charging pad is not cooled, however, so it could overheat. The gear selection is a little bit weird, but then again also not too complicated, because like this you put in the, like this you put in reverse, parking, drive, and for neutral is also possible. Yeah, you get along, and then the driving mode selection is here on the right side. So in the sport mode, if you have an adaptive suspension, the suspension would also get a little bit stiffer. The inbuilt hybrid does not offer that. The plug-in hybrid does offer adaptive suspension. But what you get as standard are frequency adaptive dampers. That means it adapts accordingly to the impact the dampers get. And yeah, BMW sells that as adaptive suspension, where it's not actively adaptive. Yeah, but for Honda here it's standard. Actually quite cool. Then this large middle console here with the leatherette covering. Okay, you can move that one a little bit left and right, but still quite fine from the build quality. A lot of space underneath, that's really good. This interior is so versatile and usable. Here the cup holders, see here, they work well for different sizes. They're also somewhat adaptive. So I'm overall very, very happy with the cockpit here so far. Steering wheel moves in and out, up and down. Also very smooth, no resistance, no rattling sound whatsoever. Oh, and that power button here lights in red. Digital instruments are very clear to read, and you can also change the content from the steering wheel, what you want to see here. So here with your right thumb, you control the content, and then you can also activate or deactivate the head-up display. Pretty cool here, these hotkeys at the stalk column. So when I press here on the right with my index finger, directly hops to the camera view, and I can also switch through the different camera views. This is here, for example, then right and left wheel, so you don't damage these alloys. And with my left thumb, I can directly hop here to the blind spot monitor view. So when Michel opens his passenger door, there you see this is the passenger side, always showing the blind spot. Rear seats, first of all, look at that. The rear door opens almost 90 degrees. Great for putting child seats in and out. Then also soft touch here in the rear doors on the inside. Great build quality again. You can even get seat heating for that. And then when I'm driving as a tall person here, still have enough legroom. So remember, the wheelbase has been increased a little bit. Here the headroom gets a little bit close here with the panoramic roof. Behind is a little bit better then, so there's still space then. If you want more space, then you would not take the panoramic roof. But overall, the offering of space is good. The rear seats are quite high, so once again, good for children actually. And a decent comfort once again. And I'm really amazed by the interior build quality here by Honda. USB-C charging in the lower part. And then we can fold down this. This has no adaptive cup holders though. And what's also interesting is you cannot fold the seats forward or backward, but the seat folding mechanism is cool. So you take this one, then you can adjust the angle, make it more upright, or put it all the way. This is like a way sleeping position, so very rare that we see that. And then when we fold it down completely for the trunk and so on, here, look at that, how the lower seating area goes flat. That's a good mechanism that the whole area then is flatter than for loading things through. Trunk is about 600 liters each or 40 cubic feet. And interesting is that the inbuilt hybrid has a little bit less liter volume than the plug-in hybrid. Soon going to tell you why. This is like the cover here. Then about 1 meter or 40 inches in width. That's good. So we have a full luggage setup for you here. Just to show you a sample, this is then empty. You have that they use all the height. Here, you can see that we have a small step, but it's actually nicely covered. And then we have already 2/3 folded, and the total length into the front seat here is 185 or 73 inches, so that's actually very good. And for all the dog owners, especially here, 83 centimeters or 32 inches in height, so very well usable. That's again the third reason why people go for it. A lot of luggage space. It's actually simple, not complicated. It fits a lot. Underneath here, by the way, some more space. The inbuilt hybrid has actually the battery here underneath this floor. That's why you lose a little bit of luggage volume underneath. The plug-in hybrid would have the battery in the underfloor centered of the vehicle. That's why then underneath here you get a little bit more liters, but the everyday usability is more or less the same. Can I stand underneath here? I can push it a little bit more upward. Then I can also stand underneath. And if you want to secure that position here, it also says hold to set heights. The first manufacturer see to. There we go. And then when you have hold it, then you have saved this position for the next time. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge. Honda CRV, new generation here with the inbuilt hybrid. Let's go to the sport mode and do some acceleration from 0. Let's see how it turns out. Plop, that's 90. And I wasn't, like screaming at the like the acceleration, but more. I had to secure the key here; it doesn't fly around. I was more screaming at the sound it made, So wow, it was like wow, that it's interesting. And here we can directly use this small test track they have here at Honda Germany and see how it performs. So the steering is actually quite good. It doesn't feel most agile, the whole vehicle, let's take it that way. But the wider track here in the new generation definitely helps the vehicle. So I feel it drives better and sportier than before. Leans a little bit into the corner. The suspension is not set on the sportiest note, I would say. But overall, it's actually quite good. This is not the vehicle where you say like driving fun and driving agility is the main focus. It's more about running straight, motorway, and being comfortable. And for that, the suspension is also set on a good note, I would say. But definitely, it feels better to drive than the previous generation. And that's, I think, the main aspect for it. Suspension we will also test as for the comfort soon on the open road, and we'll also go to the motorway. But here, yeah, definitely. It's not the sportiest, most agile feeling. There, for example, the German competitors would be better as for the sporty driving feeling. But then here with the straightforward user interface, I really love this Honda approach because especially while driving, it's so easy to control the temperature unit here, for example. And that was completely normal back in the days. And now often it's gone. Yeah, so this is something you can really praise then with the Honda CRV then. Yeah. Now you're maybe hearing that. I'm in the EV driving mode, so when you're driving really slow speeds, easing the car in and out of a parking lot, it usually goes to the EV mode to save some fuel and also be silent in the neighborhood and so on. And in the previous generation, the direct drive, that the combustion engine powers the wheels directly, was only available at motorway speeds. Now it's also available at slower speeds, so we can also have this monitor here, the power flow monitor. And always when there's like a, like this, there's a small white symbol, where you can see that actually. But it always depends. If you look at that while driving as a driver, you probably get mad because it constantly changes. Because you have the all EV mode, then you have the like this direct drive where the engine directly powers the wheels, and then you have this generator mode where the combustion engine serves as generator. But then the car itself drives electric. And it constantly changes depending on what is actually the best solution for this very moment. But the best thing is probably as a customer not to care about that and just drive the vehicle. Acceleration figures are all around 9 seconds, by the way. The front-wheel drive version is a little bit better, like 9 seconds, 9.5 for the all-wheel drive version. The all-wheel drive here, I also have it in this very vehicle, works in a way front plus rear on demand with a clutch. So it's not like a permanent all-wheel drive or something. There's always something active, in a way, but not like this fixed setup. So rear then just on demand. Here, look at that. When I turn right, this blind spot view is automatically activated here. Right, set turning indicator. This is actually a cool system. And the same also happens, so left, I rather look myself, but here when I use my left index finger, then I can also activate it and have here the blind spot view to the right. So this is a very cool system. We know it from Hyundai and Kia, Genesis, but they have it then in the instruments. It's also a good solution here then in the screen. I think it's, tech going forward, definitely, why not? So here when I'm turning right, once again it's activated. I mean, I do see it in the mirror in a way, and there's also the blind spot monitor in the mirror. That maybe takes an effect on the motorway, but here is definitely a nice additional safety feature. I mean, what you heard during the acceleration was that the engine was really, really loud. That's because Honda is not using like a classic converter automatic gearbox, so you always have like this effect. But once again, that performance itself is also not the focus of this vehicle. Then let's get on the motorway, still in the sport mode. Let's see one more acceleration on the motorway from 50. Let's go. 100. 120. 130. Wow. I mean, it's okay. I mean, this is actually sufficient. And the engine sounds like a sports car, doesn't it? Yeah, that's really cool. Here now at higher speeds, 130 kilometers an hour, so like 80 miles an hour. It is actually quite loud as for the wind noise, you know, so that's not the best, I would say. So it could be more silent at higher speeds. Of course, in most countries you won't have really high motorway speeds, but 130 is definitely a speed where it should be more silent. Here now, there we see the small symbol here, and when we see that small symbol here, that means that this direct drive is active. So at the moment I'm keeping constant speed, and now the combustion engine is directly powering the wheels. When I go off the throttle, there it disappears, and then I have recuperation, so I get energy back to the battery. And then when I'm on the throttle, then the direct drive is activated once again. When I'm accelerating harder, let's see, then it disappears, because then when I'm in hard acceleration, the electric motor is active and the combustion engine serves as generator. Yeah, it is in a way complicated, but also you could say it's a great idea in a way to fit the drivetrain in a way that it's always most efficient in every situation. But of course is the question at the end of the day, does it really mean that we have less consumption? We've been testing the system before, and I have to say it's not a game changer as for the fuel economy. Yeah, so maybe it's nicely thought out, but that it's really super effective. I would also wish for a base petrol engine for the European, for the German market. I think they would serve the customer better by that way. And then also, for example, offer the plug-in hybrid drivetrain that you can then have taxation benefits if you need it. Yes, to me it's a little bit too loud on the motorway, but as for the chassis, suspension and so on, it's nice. It doesn't shake up too much. At the same time, it drives very well. Suspension, I feel, is very comfortable also with 18-inch wheels. And the steering is awesome. It's really crisp and direct. At the same time, I do not need too much force. I think exactly the right setup here for the steering. And that has always been the case with Honda. You remember like Civic, or especially Civic Type R. It's really a lot of fun to steer these vehicles around. Just as the CRV does not have like this agile cornering focus. We've shown that to you initially, that this is not like the special thing this car can do also, But overall, driving-wise, I'm really happy. Yes, it doesn't offer the most driving fun, but at the same time, steering is crisp and good comfort, riding straight and enjoying family also in the rear, everything comfortable. Yeah, as long as you don't drive too fast or that you don't have like too much wind noise and so on. But overall, I think in this very segment here, quite solid performance. The Toyota RAV4, by the way, is also quite loud at higher speeds. So that's a thing where the Germans are a little bit better as for noise insulation. And Lexus, of course, if you compare Toyota and Lexus, it's mostly the difference that Lexus always has better noise insulation at higher speeds. So just to give you like some competitor insight as well. Well, the last reason why the Honda CRV works that well internationally is the low price. So you get it in the North American market for around $30,000, and it offers so much for the price. So the price performance is excellent. And also Honda usually scores quite good reliability rankings. Then again, that's the one thing I criticize today, is in Europe, they go more for this high trim strategy now. So in Germany, it starts at 49,000 euros as the inbuilt hybrid, and even more, around 60,000 euros for the plug-in hybrid. Always high trim on the inside, no fabric seats, always animal skin share and so on. So I think that's not the right approach to take it, because I love this vehicle. Design-wise, the space on the interior, here this new generation, such a great build quality on the inside. It's actually a premium build quality inside. I love that. But then again, it also has to be competitive price-wise, and that works in the North American market, but it's really critical if it works in the European market. Yeah, that's I think the only catch for the day. Other than that, it is really, to me, one of the best SUVs in this very segment. This is here the updated Nissan Qashqai, also known as Rogue Sport, and we're going to take a look here at the facelifted model. Boy, has it changed in the front. All the details you need to know about the supposed to be one of the last affordable compact SUVs. I'm Thomas, this is Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. The front here is supposed to remind you of Japanese armor, you know, like old armor that's kind of like overlapping. So I think a very interesting job in the front and definitely a completely different look. New LED lamps, also the daytime running light here is really slim in the integration. And if you hit the turning indicator with this top LED trim, then you also see now a cascading form in the front. Actually a beautiful job, as well as the Fuji red color, very expressive red color. And design is also this one new top trim, supposed to be very sporty on the exterior. Pros and cons to come in the interior, soon more about that. Wheels from 17 to 20 inch. These here are the biggest 20-inch wheels, and they also now have the wheel arches in the vehicle color, so no contrasting wheel arches, at least then here in this trim. You can also get a contrasting roof, in this case then here in black, and the length is 4.43 meters or 174 inches. Design-wise, I think really pleasing to the eye, and the special thing is if you go for a low trim, you already get a quite attractive car, you know, price-wise, but also design-wise. This is what's making the Qashqai here so special. That's why it's also here good, very good selling in the numbers, and produced also in the UK in Sunderland. Then towards the rear, new tail lamps, also very modern design, three-dimensional on the inside, and also a pretty clean look in the lower part, overall quite likable. E-Power, there's a badge at the rear and also at the side. What does it mean? This is actually the 1.5 liter three-cylinder hybrid, where the combustion engine serves as a generator, but the wheels itself, they are driven electrically. Front-wheel drive as an alternative. You can also get a 1.3 liter four-cylinder mild hybrid. That one then, front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, manual or automatic. Here with this generator hybrid system, you only get front-wheel drive and automatic. I like this key fob here, slim and actually good quality, no high gloss stuff and so on. Then door closing sound is solid, I would say. Let's check out the rear. Yeah, actually nice. And then inside of the doors in the front is also soft touch here in the top. And then this one here is the either Tecna Plus or the N-Design trim, and this one then comes with Alcantara at the inside of the doors. However, no covering of the inside doors here at the pockets. And then the interior steering wheel with physical buttons. Assistance system upgrade is also one of the key things here, but you can also easily deactivate them. These seats here are unfortunately only animal skin in the top trims, Tecna Plus and the N-Design. However, if you go for the lower trims, like the Tecna without the Plus trim, you get a quilted leather red. That would look kind of similar, but even more exclusive. Or you can go for a fabric leather red mix in the N connector trim, or the Ascenta trim, this pure fabric seats. And the ergonomics of the seats is very good actually. So with 189, 6'2", I still have enough headroom left. I find a good seating position. Steering wheel here, manual in and out, very easy. It's very light to control, so you have to not like like bang it all the way through here on top or in and out. But yeah, you can find a good position for that. So I like the classic user interface. Most of that is manual. Electric seats you have here. Yeah, and the thing is that it feels like a grown-up SUV already. I like that. Cockpit perspective. Here in this top trim, you also get more Alcantara at the dashboard. That's actually a nice job. And with this white contrast stripe here. And what I really appreciate here, you have a manual climate unit. Here the fan speed and also here the temperature. Very large, easy to control also while driving. Separate button for the seat heating. I really appreciate that actually. Middle console. This shifting lever for the automatic gearbox here. Or for the, it's actually just automatic drive. Let's take it that way because it drives electric. Here, reverse, drive mode, and then the B mode is more recuperation. And then you have also here a sport mode where you get a little bit more power than or throttle input. E-pedal, this one is then also higher recuperation, and EV that you even more stress the EV driving, but usually it's not that important. You just let the car do its thing. The inductive charging pad is not cooled, so the smartphone will overheat there. Then the cup holders are not adaptive. This is more simple. At some point the price needs to be represented. This armrest here, nice covering with the Alcantara. And then you have this split either like this, or you open it with the second one below, and then you have more space underneath, also with two USB-C chargers. And then you also have two more USB-C chargers at the rear part for the rear seats. Infotainment system upgrade. You now have this bigger and widescreen view, Google built in. Means you also have here the native Google Maps support. At the same time, it also supports Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so this is also possible. You can switch that. Yeah, so this is a big step forward, and I think it's a good decision just to let Google do its thing, and you as a car manufacturer, you know, you care about your things. In the top trim, you also have an interesting camera system. You can switch through different camera modes, rear view camera, full screen, or here this under the bonnet view. So when you drive, it builds up a past image underneath the bonnet virtually, and then you see what's actually between the wheels that you don't damage anything. And cockpit POV here with new digital instruments. And interesting is what I said earlier here, when you press here, then you can go to these driver assistance custom mode and activate it. And then, for example, here, lane keeping assist can be deactivated, or also this speed warning chime. It can be all deactivated with one set of a button here. You always have to do it new, but you can have your custom settings. That's very interesting. And you can also get here an optional head-up display. And Leah is testing two more features for you. First of all, quality here of the glove box. Yeah, it's actually dampened quite nicely, so that's good. Also good closing sound. And on the top, you also have this storage then for the sunglasses. Pretty cool here, these rear doors. Look at that, they open basically 90 degrees. That's very good for the access for child seats in and out. Hard pack here on the top part, but then here in the high trim, nice Alcantara insert. And you also have decent comfort here if it works legroom wise, because it's not a long vehicle. Here for 4 tall adults, it barely works, I would say. It's okay, also headroom wise, but again, the package is still quite good because it's not such a long vehicle. Then when you fold down this, the cupboards are not really adaptive and pretty shallow, so I have to watch out for that with the kids and so on. And you cannot adjust the back part here when you fold that here. It either folds or is in place. There is no possibility to adjust the angle or something. Isofix here on the outside parts, that's maybe then more important. Trunk or boot, it's around 500 liters, 480 liters with the all-wheel drive, then you lose a little bit. Let's take a look here. What's quite astonishing is here in the width, it's like 1 meters 10 almost, or yeah, almost 44 inches. That's actually quite cool. And the normal length is limited 85 centimeters or 34 inches. And here you can see normal luggage fits in there. At the moment, it doesn't seem that high though. But what you can do is here, look at that, these splitters, they have done that to have an even loading floor. I've already folded 2/3 of the seats. Another 1/3 is possible. You have to go around for that though. Here, and then you have to split here. You can put like a backpack in there upright to have a split, not flying all over the place. Underneath, yeah, there's not much space left in there. And you can also remove that completely, have a second split here, or take that both out then to get the maximum height. And this then here the full setup when I also fold the other part. But then you see you always have to fold this front seat a little bit more forward. Sport mode. Plop. That was 0 to 90 kilometers an hour. Now reducing to 70 again. Yeah, very interesting. It was reasonably quick, and you feel the electric drive, and then when you accelerate hard, then also the RPMs go higher because the generator is working more. Here with this true hybrid version, as I said, engine is working as a generator, the wheels are driven electrically. Very interesting system. The acceleration figure here for this one here, which is the 1.5 liter 3-cylinder hybrid, around 8 seconds to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. Whereas with the, it's always a little bit complicated, the other engine has a cylinder more, 4-cylinder, but then less displacement, 1.3 liter. Also pretty interesting, isn't it? That one is, depending on the version, manual, automatic, overdrive, front-wheel drive, between 10 and 9 seconds in the acceleration. So 1 to 2 seconds slower than this one here. Actually, very interesting. Then when I want to turn off or on some assistance systems here, easily done with 2 clicks on the steering wheel. I like that actually. So that's actually pretty cool. And also when I want to reset the fuel meter or so on, that we can give you an exact figure without that hard acceleration. Also very easy to reset everything. I can also go back to the normal or the standard mode, or even to the eco mode, boosting a little bit the eco driving. Usually when I go off the throttle, I'm just rolling. I can also go to the B mode, then I have heavier recuperation, directly when I lift the throttle. But when I'm in D mode, I can also do some recuperation here with the brake pedal. So that's also possible. It's more matter of preference what you really like. The interesting thing is that when you have enough buffer in the battery, especially when you drive locally, slow speeds around town, then sometimes the generator isn't even running, for example. But most of the time it is running, and then you might wonder, like, what is the reason for this? And the sense behind that is actually that they say, hey, we put that one in an optimum state, we let it run at a constant RPM level, then it is more efficient than it would be directly connected to the wheels and always, varying in the RPM and going really high RPM level and so on. This is the basic system behind that. Honda is also using a similar system. The main difference is that here with Nissan system, you are only always driving electric, the wheels directly, whereas the Honda system can also directly power the wheels from the combustion engine and has this kind of like third state as well. So the Honda system is in a way even more complicated, I would say. The Nissan system a little bit simpler, but the question is, of course, at the end of the day, and we'll keep you updated towards the end of the review, if it's making sense consumption-wise and so on. So this will be very interesting. Here the turning indicator, by the way, feels sometimes a little bit, let's say, unfinished, especially when you do this tipping thing. That could give you a little bit more quality feedback. The rest of the interior also by driving makes actually a pretty good impression. So there you don't feel that this one is actually still cheaper than most of its competitors. So more and more competitors have reasonably rose in the prices. This one not too much, just because here with this facelift, they basically canceled the very, very base trim level, which not too many people went for. That's the main reason why the price went up. Other than that, it's in comparison to most other cars in this segment, still relatively affordable, and I think you have to applaud them for that. Here in these traffic situations, it's actually good that you can, once again, only drive electrically. It's very good also to reduce emissions and so on. And what is being done where and when, usually you don't really feel that as a driver or as a customer. However, you can also here in these front instruments go through these different visualizations. Then you first have to find it because it's a little bit hidden. There it is, energy flow. And then, for example, here you see at the moment just the battery, and then to the wheels. So at this moment the combustion engine is not on. Now it's on again, and we didn't even hear that. So you rather hear the combustion engine when you're really hammering the throttle like we did initially with the acceleration. Then you do feel that actually. But it's always, constant back and forth. But that's also that you just let the car do its thing, and that's basically it. Here the noise level at the moment here is 70 kilometers an hour. Is quite good actually. 20-inch wheels. I was afraid that it's maybe getting too bumpy, but actually the suspension is not set on a too stiff note, and even when I'm running through some potholes, it's astonishingly okay. Very often when we have vehicles with very large wheels, they get very rough and uncomfortable, but here I think it's still okay. It will still be more comfortable if you stick with the smaller wheels, but if you want that extra design kick on the exterior, I think you can still live with it, with this comfort. The steering itself, from the feeling, is really nice. It feels very natural, and on the one hand you don't have to steer so much, but also the fine commands and transport it to the road. It's not overreacting at all. It also reminds me of the Mazda steerings, especially like in MX-5, CX-5, CX-30 and so on. Maybe not for the very large new SUVs, that's a little bit different, but very nice and sporty steering feeling, so I like it. And also that I can manual control everything while driving, like here the rear buttons at the steering wheel, the rear climate knobs, I can easily turn that while driving, so I like this classic user interface that is making it really relaxing in the drive. And all the facelift changes also with the new screen and so on give me a little bit more sense of sophistication here with the facelift if I compare the pre-facelift model. Just this turning stork, I mean, I really try to pay attention to all these details. So yeah, when you hammer it in, it's okay actually, but when you do like this tipping gesture, just like feels a little bit off. Yeah, maybe the engineers could tune that at some point or so. Yeah, and meanwhile I've also deactivated most of the assistance systems, but I can also easily activate them again and test them. That's of course also a good thing. On the right side then you can also activate this adaptive cruise control, for example, set the speed. And here is also the one, because they've upgraded the assistance system, this was also part here of the facelift, more standard assistance systems, and they are also more elaborate than before here. Now active lane keeping assist, the street is also bending slightly to the right, and here so far so good. It's not a very clear marking here in the middle of the road. Let's see if the vehicle realizes that. Yeah, I'm not steering, I'm just pretending to be steering basically. Of course you have to hold on to the steering wheel, that's a level 2 system. It's not meant to be driving autonomously, but so far actually quite impressive. I'll also gather some more experience with that and tell you later on if there was anything negative or so. But so far, also assistance system-wise, I think overall a good performance. And some dynamic driving, once again, very likable steering feeling. So it is also a lot of fun to drive this one. And I think when we then once again compare the Tiguan, where I pay way more money for, is it really worth it, you know? And I think it's very good performance here, so fun-wise, comfort-wise, that you can easily say, hey, I really want to save some money and go for a more affordable vehicle. I think this is what the Qashqai really masters, especially when you keep it mid-trim or low-trim. So it feels also very compact. It is not a very long SUV, and that's why it's also that good in the driving fun. You don't carry that much, you know, just dimension with you. The only thing I did feel was negative, I just found out here when I was driving a little bit longer, that's not that good from the build quality here. Like this high gloss black covering on the steering wheel, and when you are resting your thumb on it or maybe press a little bit there, it's not that we don't have it as well in an Audi now at the dashboard, that was also the case, but this definitely has to be mentioned. So yeah, they should have come up with a better idea here at the steering wheel. Yeah, but as I said, the steering feeling itself, really good, and I really also enjoy these winding corners here. Pricing, for example, for the UK market, around £30,000 in the entry-level model, up to £46,000, like with all the bells and whistles and so on. Euros like 34,000 euros, up to 50,000 euros, for example, German reference price. So you see that in the low entry price level, it can really beat the competitors. It's still one of the affordable compact SUVs, and I would, in the interior, to go annual free, you know, anyway, recommend one of the lower trim levels and also have a more breathable seat, like a fabric seat and so on. So I think then the car really makes sense. You already get a quite attractive exterior design, and with the low trim level, you can really say, hey, I pay like half the price than a new Volkswagen Tiguan with all the bells and whistles. If you go then really high trim level, as it stands here right now, then you go towards 50,000 euros. Then of course you can already consider other competitors as for that. This color here, by the way, ocean blue it's called, but yeah, actually it's more dark greenish. What do you think? Consumption, a little bit more than 40 mpg US, a little bit more than 50 mpg UK, so 5.5 liters on 100 kilometers if you have more motorway share. Consumption will be better if you have less motorway share, more city share, and also using more of topography changes where you can use the recuperation effect of this engine. And this is also the main aspect. If you have the hybrid, the recuperation, so gaining back the energy, that is the main aspect. That the combustion engine is basically cut off from the wheels, that is not the main aspect. So the hybrid systems also work when they directly power the wheels, like with Toyota or with Honda, where they offer basically both. So that is not the main aspect. Really using the recuperation effect in topography changes will give you best efficiency gains, but it's also not that efficient that you can actually explain that this whole effort wouldn't make sense. It's good, but it's also not extraordinary from this hybrid system as for the whole result. But overall, a very good performance here from the Nissan Qashqai facelift. A full review of the updated Ford Kuga, how it's called in the EU, or Ford Escape, how it's called in the Northern American market. Everything you need to know about this restyling here, updates on the interior, and how good is it actually to the existing competitors? We'll find out with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. In the front, the grille has been updated, has a more present front here, looks pretty cool. And the daytime running light, you can see here in the middle, it runs through, so that looks really fancy. It's an Active X trim here, it's a top trim in the EU, and here it has then these contrasting lower silver parts to look even more expressive. So I really like this restyling in the front. You also get new headlamps. As for the main headlamp unit, optional matrix LED, the ones we have also right here, as you can see. A couple of times now, the Ford Kuga in the EU has secured the title of the best-selling plug-in hybrid SUV. We'll also get into the details of the plug-in hybrid system here for the Kuga very soon. As for the side profile, in this compact SUV segment, it's not too long, but also not too small. 4,60 meters or 181 inches. Wheels go from 17 to 20 inch. These here are somewhat in between 19 inch, but I think a very sporty styling indeed for an SUV. Do you like that actually? Plug-in hybrid charging cap is here already in the front, by the way. 3.7 kilowatt charging maximum, not too quick. So from 0 to 100% at the wallbox at home, it takes about 4 hours then actually to recharge this 10.7 kilowatt net battery. So it will give you an electric range of about 50 kilometers or 30 miles as for the realistic facts. Soon more to the engine compartment. Here we have the plain black frames around, just this rubber material. This is maybe not the most premium look, I feel, but this top trim once again has the silver contrast in the lower part. I think that looks pretty cool, makes the vehicle more interesting. Then towards the rear, tail lamps here with a rather modern signature already, so that's good. And once again, the silver contrast here in the lower part. And real exhaust tips we have here, no fake exhaust tips. Of course, you can also get your fake exhaust police t-shirt here from Autogefühl or this t-shirt in our shop. Towing is 1.6 ton up to 2.1 tons, so maximum 3,500 pounds. So it really depends on the engine version if you have front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Turning indicators in the front, actually pretty cool because they're so wide, very visible, also a design function. However, in the rear, I found them just too tiny. Classic Ford key fob does the job, light and fits good in the pocket. Then let's also see the keyless entry. When you press here, you close it, and door closing sound. Yeah, not a specialty of Ford, let's take it that way. However, you also have to think about there's this cool mechanism, which is a specialty of Ford. There we go with this door sill protector. And that's a really nice thing. Yeah, pretty cool. And also just the rubber that you don't hit anything or maybe another door and so on. You just have to be aware of it, that it's there. It's also for the rear doors. And the thing is that when you get out again, you could, for example, get stuck here. So yeah, always keep enough distance to the doors. Not that anything of that would have happened today to someone. Oh. Sorry about that. Then inside of the door, soft touch here in the top part. Then we have this wooden style here, which is actually very well done, I have to say. Soft touch for your elbow. However, all hard pack at the inside of the doors here. Then Active X entry badge. Yeah, there we go. And you either get fabric seats or a fabric leatherette mix, or this here a microfiber leatherette mix. Here the leatherette they call Sensación or Active X, is their brand name. It's a very good quality, both from the leatherette and also from the microfiber, and also the steering wheel with a high-grade leatherette that really feels really nicely and also soft and plush. So good build quality in that respect, and real buttons at the steering wheel too. Let's take a seat. Take a seat, young Skywalker. So here 1,89 meters, 6'2", a lot of headroom left, and it is not that soft. It's actually quite sporty in the bolstering, but not in a way that it's uncomfortable. So I'm happy with that. Upright seating position, you already feel like in a grown-up SUV. So really happy with the overall seat setup here. Actually, this top trim does lift it into a higher area, and this also here, the electric seat goes forward, backward, up and down as well. You also have an electric lumbar support, steering wheel manual, up and down, in and out. Cockpit overview, also turn that on. Nice visualizations, by the way, always when you like turn on or off the screen, it looks pretty fancy. indeed. And then we have more of this wooden atmosphere here around. You also hear that it has this matte surface, so that's actually quite cool. Somewhat soft touch here also on the top dashboard. Just put off the AC, then it's not that loud. Then the glove box here is also somewhat damaged, and it's actually quite spacious. And we have some manual controls left here. For example, we have a manual volume jog right here. Then also a button for the driving mode is right here in the lower part. And further down below, USB-C or USB-A charging, inductive charging pad, not cooled however, so the phone will overheat. Then the cup holders are adaptive and they're also illuminated actually when it's dark. It's pretty cool. And this shifting lever here, which is actually quite decent, because here this then reverse, neutral, D, even here a low gear. So yeah, look at that. Then this middle console, some more space here. This is also soft for the elbow. This is not that heavily attached, but you have more space underneath here for a cable or something, and then even more here. Driver POV, left side you control the cruise control, right side you can switch through different settings here in the digital instruments, for example. They are very clear to read with a large digital speedometer, 12.3 inch updated, and this new 13-inch screen here, Sync 4, and this here also has double the CPU power now with some nice visualizations, for example. However, we have to say it is still not, let's say, the quickest overall in all the systems here. Yeah, there are better systems, but it does the job. Climate control is, however, here just digital like this, or then press plus minus here. Seat heating and steering wheel heating is, however, quite good to reach. And this is the view of the head-up display with all the possible contents. Yeah, it is a separate layer, so when I close it, there we go, disappears. You can also connect Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Also here, when you press this one, then either this with a split screen, or it goes then like this full screen. And cable connection or wireless, both possible. Also the rear doors here have this door sill protection, so it's really good. Definitely clever idea. Ford introduced that and Skoda actually took that over as well. Then rear doors here, hard pack. But you have this nice structured cover here at least. It doesn't open too wide here, that rear door, so that might be a problem to get in child seats and out again. However, the ISOFIX are on the outside seats here, so they are actually easily accessible. And then we have these sliding seats here in the rear, 1/3, 2/3 split. The only thing is when you like feel it in the lower part, there where you actually put up this lever, is directly also a cable you can actually touch, probably the one for the rear seat heating, because there is rear seat heating available, at least here in this very trim. And underneath USB-C charging. This then here the 2/3 split then here also for the slidable bench, but of course a practical thing. You can make trunk a little bit longer then, and you can also adjust the inclination here, this more upright position, of course head restraint rather up, and also more backward position. So also very flexible here, together with cup holders. Also very good build quality here, adaptive, and also here how it like, that sounds just good, you know, and it's also keeping it in place when it folds down and you put it up again and so on. Headroom with 189, 6'2", still enough headroom left. And the legroom thing is, yeah, you need to put the seat a little bit higher, and then the knees, or when you put your feet more underneath, then it fits here with the recess. So it's not like a bunch of space, but it's also not the longest vehicle. And as I said, this recess can be better used when either you put your feet more under the seat or when it's a little bit higher, and then it's fine. Overall, a versatile car also here in the rear, and it's also comfortable in the seating here with the microfiber surface and so on. Trunk or boot at 410 liters, electric hatch we have here. So this top cover here is actually attached at the top part. So this, I mean, on the one hand it looks like a wobbly solution, on the other hand it does adapt then to luggage that is underneath, and it leaves the area here also free directly. This is also a quite nice solution, I feel. Then right side, left side, easy to fold around, that's cool. 1.40 m in width. The normal length is about 85 centimeters or 33 inches, and the length to the seat as we would be driving, Here's like 160 in meters or 63 inches. And we have some space underneath. Oh yeah, yeah. first of all, space underneath. There's the charging cable also you can store there. And now you can do Now Leah can now Leah can one more time go with the yay, because yes, we have the electric towing hook right here, and you have to press it twice. And now listen also to the sound. This is the first, pressing twice.
Like a shaver, maybe?
That sounds like a shaver, right? Really funny, but yeah, I mean, it's good that we can, and it beeps also, and now everyone in the neighborhood knows that we're here. I was really happy with the build quality in the interior and the front, but here, backside of the trunk area like this, yeah, maybe that needs some more fixing, doesn't it? Engines, even for Europe, no diesel anymore now since the update now. You either get the 1.5 liter 3-cylinder turbo or a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, then either as inbuilt hybrid or here as a plug-in hybrid, and with this 10.7 kilowatt hour net battery, so for 50 kilometers or 30 miles of pure electric range approximately, and some 6 liters on 1 kilometers or 39 mpg US, more than 40 and like 46 mpg UK for the petrol consumption, if you use some, of the recuperation still at the same time. So overall, actually quite good values. Sport mode. Ooh. Yeah. So that was 180 kilometers an hour, 50 to 180. With the 2.5 liter plug-in hybrid we have here, the 4-cylinder. And I charge it to 100% or like 96%. Before that we have the full power here and acceleration. On paper it's 7.3 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour, and it was actually quite decent. Here in the sport mode we have the combined power then of the combustion engine and also with the electric boost. This one here front wheel drive only. The inbuilt hybrid would also be available as the full all-wheel drive. And of course we test the vehicles here on the German Autobahn to see what they are made of at higher speeds. And I have to say that at this point, not at 120, not at 130. Do you also hear that? Like, not yet, but now, above 130.
Yeah.
What is it? So that's the rear seat belt, right?
Yeah.
Like the rear seat belt on the right side is like giving, I don't know, this needs to be probably better plugged in, that it doesn't make that sound. Stuff like that you only notice when you drive really, really quick. But noise insulation wise here at now 150 kilometers an hour, I think it's quite decent. What do you say?
Yeah,
Leah is an expert on noise insulation because sometimes then she knows it's maybe a little bit different or so. It's always good when I agree with her. That's always good, right? It's the best. Yes, that gets the Leah stamp, definitely. So it behaves very well here at 150, 160. Let's do a lane change here. It's in the sport mode. Good to control. Also nice natural feeling from the steering. Like that actually, good grip. So once again, Ford does very good suspensions. They have been doing that actually for quite a long time. Yeah, maybe not when it's like semi-rigid axles or something in base Mustang versions or so, but in their normal vehicles and so on. So yeah, very good. 19-inch wheels here, and although these are rather large, still not uncomfortable or something like that. Then also with a good seating comfort. Here now more than 160 kilometers an hour, then it gets kind of noisy here in this cabin, but also comparing it to competitors, it behaves very, very well here, definitely. So maybe I wouldn't drive 160 or so, then it gets too noisy, but other than that, it's really nice. I always see the wiring of the front heated windshield, by the way. Some don't see it. I always see it somehow. And we can also back here to the normal mode. And in that normal mode, by the way, you can leave it on auto EV. Then the vehicle picks itself if it's driving electric or not. You can also go to EV now. Then the electric driving is predominantly happening until the battery is empty, or maybe you floor it down or something. So this is something you can just adjust. What is your main use case of that vehicle, and do you commute pure electric and then recharge again or something like that? And you can pick it here in the driving modes. You can access it here in the lower part, and then this menu stays actually until you select something else or so. So I feel that on the motorway the steering is really good actually, because it gives you a natural steering feeling. But since nowadays so many cars are steered by wire and there is actually, let's say, no feedback at all from the steering wheel, this is rather uncommon nowadays. So the thing is that in the city or so, when there are like some potholes, this is like the automatic traffic alert.
Verkehrsservice.
Yeah, listen and repeat. Verkehrsservice. So here, when I want to show you here, when I'm steering and something is happening on the road, then I do get a feeling for that. And when there's a pothole and so on, and in the city, it can be a little bit distracting even when there are like some, maybe like some ruts or so, then it really draws the vehicle in. And to me, this is, I found it actually better when I have a connection to the vehicle, but Leah was a little bit irritated by that. She didn't like that much. She likes it with more assist and so on. And
it's like driving a go-kart.
Yeah, like driving a go-kart, she says. So maybe here in the city, when there are potholes and so on, it's maybe a little bit too much, so maybe there's a good compromise in between. But I really have to say, me personally, I prefer more feeling to the vehicle than there's no feeling at all, which is the case for a lot of vehicles here today. So then we go to this S combination right here. It's always a nice test, and it is actually also a fun vehicle. It's not too long. It also doesn't lean too much in the corner. You can accelerate out, and even though it's front-wheel drive, there's enough power here. Even if you are in the normal mode, that's totally fine. Then you can also gain back some power, of course, when you are on the brakes. Also shows me here in the instruments. It is a very fun SUV to drive. I like it. So good driving behavior, good driving fun. That's pretty cool actually. So once again, situation where we accelerate onto the motorway, just in the normal mode, and also the combustion engine is more activated again. Yeah, I mean, it sounds of course a little bit that it's struggling in a way. Then again, you have to say they did not downsize it. It's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, which is really fine for a vehicle of that size, and most of the times you will use it rather at low RPM, and that's of course also good for long-term durability and so on, whereas most other vehicles have way less displacement. So this is actually a good choice that we have a lot of displacement considering the cylinders and considering the horsepower count. That's I think pretty cool actually. Now we are on the motorway. One more lane change, really nice behavior. Let's check out the assistance systems. I'm setting here the cruise control. Distance to the car in front of me, or at the moment very far, is being kept. And also here with active lane keeping. Let's see how smooth this is actually. Here so far it's rather straight, but not too many overcorrections or something. Here, by the way, picking the temperature while driving is not always ideal, I would say. Physical interface would be better, but at least it always stays in that area. Assistance systems wise, doing a good job so far. There's also a blind spot monitor available. Let's see if we can induce that somehow. But here it feels actually at home on the motorway. I could also imagine driving a longer way with this vehicle now here, no problem at all actually. The blind spot monitor is built into the side mirrors, but glad there's not so much traffic, so there's not so much coming from behind there. Maybe there's one vehicle there. I think it's a competitor here. Might that be a Skoda Kodiaq? Then we should see the blind spot monitor right there. There it is. When I set the turning indicator then it's always flashing. Yeah, it is actually a Kodiaq. That's also one of my hobbies, like seeing just tail lamps or something, or cars. Leah is like, this guy
Oh,
is...
it's cute. I like
okay,
it.
okay, at least it's cute. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, you know, like...
And I do it also.
yeah, she has started to do that as well, like seeing that, you know, like...
She was always like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
no, she realized that, or when we were like at this filming of the Panamera and there was like a distant sound and she was like, wait a minute, Thomas, wasn't it a Porsche 911 exhaust? And I was like, oh, that's my god. yeah, that's stuff that's important to me, you know, car nerd stuff, definitely. But very solid from everything that the Ford Kuga is presenting us here. About pricing, surprisingly low entry prices in the US at $28,000, 32,000 pounds in the UK. In Germany, the entry price is already higher at about 40,000 euros, and it always depends if you go low spec or high spec. But you can also buy this vehicle here in a low spec and already profit from the good dimensions. You know, it's not too long on the exterior, still offers enough space and so on. So it's not the most fancy SUV out there, but it does its job. And that's why it's still actually quite popular. And I also think so. It just delivers on all the different aspects in a very good way, I feel actually. As this vehicle standing here right now, 57,000 euros or 57,500 actually, the equipped test vehicle, plug-in hybrid, highest trim and so on. And then of course it already gets quite expensive. Yeah, then you better get a good leasing rate for that. What do you think about the new Ford Kuga here or the updated Ford Escape? Tell me in the comments. The Mazda CX-5 is still a very popular compact SUV, and now it comes as a facelift here with Thomas and Autogefühl. Show you all the details. The front grille has a new design, a little bit more rectangular, stronger, wider, and also with this new structure on the inside here in a special sporty trim, which is very interesting indeed. And also new LED lamps here in the front, optional with a matrix LED, which now also features even more single LEDs. And here we see an interesting comparison here in the front with the chrome, and also the lower parts a little bit different. Everything in black right here, also the lower bumper and this additional red decor small element on the other side. 4.58 meters or 181 inches is the length of the CX-5. Changes, they did some chassis optimizations and also noise dampening we see in the driving part, if that works. And here it's very interesting, you can see 19-inch wheels, the biggest one available, starts at 17 on both vehicles we have here, but you can see here with painted wheel arches in vehicle color. This one is called Sol Crystal Red, or for example in the German market it's called Magma Red. Magma in the market, yeah. And then here we have black wheels and black painted accentuations around the wheel arches. Gives a more sinister look, also here with the black contrast and the side mirrors. So overall a very nice and sporty look. This one of course even sportier. Which one would you go for actually? In the rear, news here with a new LED signature, so from LED technology and also different signature, pretty modern and cool. And also a new rear bumper, and in this top sports trim is also high gloss black around then here. And the facelift also brings a very interesting new color. This is called Circan Sand, maybe a little bit military camo style or something. It is indeed daring, but yeah, why not? What do you think? Tell me in the comments. As engines, in some markets you still get the 2.2 liter diesel. Other than that, main engines, either the 2 liter petrol engine, 4-cylinder, or the 2.5 liter one. We have it here today, around 200 horsepower. All-wheel drive is also available. And in the US you also get this one here, turbocharged, then with 50 horsepower more. This is the car key. That is not that premium-like. So, dog closing sound. That's actually quite good, and you can see also here how the doors are aligned. It's actually a good build quality. Of course, Mazda does not want to be premium in the first place, but they have increased the build quality over the years massively indeed. You can also see soft touch here, contrast stitches. You have also like a sporty insert right here. And you can see here is also the sports line on the interior, also with red stitches, or red stitching here on the inside of the steering wheel. Still normal buttons at the steering wheel, that's good. Better than #capacitive BS for sure. As for seats, this is here animal skin in this case, but you can get in the UK, in Germany, a black leatherette that looks almost the same. In the UK you can also get a beige leatherette, and the base would be just fabric seats anyway. And now with the so-called new ground trim level, not available in all markets, you can also get a microfiber on the inside and leatherette on the outside. That looks pretty spectacular, doesn't it? Getting on the inside, compact SUV style, and you already have an upright seating position. Is a very good, let's say, standard vehicle in a way that you can do a lot with it. It's not too long, it's not too short. Tall people already feel at home, and headroom massive with 1.86 m or 6'1". And another short look at this New Ground Special Edition model. It's really interesting. These neon green accentuations, for example, they are also quite daring. Not sure if this is necessary. Also here around the seat, maybe just in grey would have been more suitable for everyone. But the cool thing about this seat here, that the first time we see here a microfiber seat then for the CX-5, and the outside then is also leatherette. So that's of course pretty cool. So a very high class animal-free seat. And what about the comfort? Let's see. Yeah, I mean the same base ergonomics, which are actually good, and yeah, the microfiber actually makes it also quite cozy. So I would like this seat, but maybe more in a subtle nuance, that, for example, the contrast and grey. That would be really cool. Also, tell me in the comments what you think about this. Straightforward interior, 10.25-inch screen, so more deals with that. Here again, soft touch. This leatherette looks actually quite cool, and we still have manual climate dials. So yeah, the car is somewhat conservative, but there are also good things to be conservative in this case here for cars, also with metal knurling around. Then we have the automatic gearbox, and also there's a new drive selector when you have auto gearbox and all-wheel drive, which we have here. It also now features a special off-road mode, which then, you know, changes something of the stability control and so on. And up there is more towards the so-called sport mode. Inductive charging pad is now new here in the front, actually, and then more to the rear, you control the infotainment system from here, because this is not a touchscreen. Intentionally, they say. Here, adaptive cup holders, they hold the bottles quite tight, and then you also have a soft surface here for the middle storage, and not sure what I thought about that. So there's a cable for the smartphone, but then you cannot really put it here. But then there's this hole that you can have the smartphone here, but then do you put them in the cup holders? Or not sure how they thought about that. Yeah, then there's more space underneath. The front camera has a very good resolution and also different angles actually. Here in this view, for example, is wide angle, but it looks more down, that you can really see what's going on here. So I really have to go down here all the way throughout. And I'm very, very close to the camera here, by the way. So probably closer than expected, right? And then there's a side mirror view, so that you can see that you don't damage your alloys. You can see here, I can fly into the picture with my hand. It looks pretty weird then, right? Because of the wide angle once again, but really helpful definitely here. You can see that you don't damage your wheels. This is all in this 360-degree camera package, and the rear view camera, this is the standard one, you can see has a very good resolution now. And rest of the infotainment, said here, Mazda says no touchscreen due to safety reasons, but they kept it quite simple, so you can also more or less control it then with this thing from below. This is then the map view, for example, actually quite clear, but I mean, like to hover in the map is then not that easy. You do it, and also with that lower control stick, for example. Other than that, you also have the Apple CarPlay integration, and then you can, you know, scroll like that. So yeah, it's okay. And this car is also equipped with the Bose sound system, and I have to say, it's quite decent sound indeed. So for music lovers, should go for that one. Instruments, a mix of analog and digital, so the outsides are analog, and the inside here, there's a small screen. Then you can see here also when I put the sport mode, it becomes red, and here in the off-road mode, there's more yellowish tone. And you can also get a head-up display, small but useful. If you care about installing child seats, got something for you. Look at that. Rear doors almost open 90 degrees. That's really cool. And also build quality wise, really good. So look at that. Soft touch here on the top part already with leatherette, and even softer here. So good comfort there also for the rear passengers. And you can see here the basic setup. Let's see how much legroom we have actually. So this is the seat as I would be driving, and it comes close indeed. So I do, you know, hit the back part here. So not too much legroom. Headroom, however, is pretty sufficient. Of course, it's not the longest vehicle, but in general, the seating comfort in the rear is actually quite decent. You can also get an electric hatch for the trunk here, now 522 liters, so it gained a couple of liters actually with that facelift. The length is here at 95 centimeters or 37 inches. And the width, let's see, yeah, that's the standard, a good meter or 40 inches, even a little bit more, even in the lower part and even higher than in the upper part. Easy here with that cabin trolley, of course. Underneath here, let's see. We have some more space, so quite spacious trunk indeed. And then we can fold the seats, and that's very interesting. We can do it like this. There's also a single folding just for the ski hatch, and then here we go, the third one. So yeah, we have to push it here, and yeah, it seems like they fixed it here. Last time we had the CX-5, it was not that good from a build quality here, but this transition now is a little bit better, definitely. And the overall length to the front seats we're driving is here at 1.65 meters or 65 inches. Interesting, by the way, listen to this. So when you just do the startup, that exhaust here from the 2.5 naturally aspirated engine, it sounds quite kind of sporty, right? You know, with the startup, but when you hit the throttle, yeah, then it doesn't sound that sporty. But in the idle mode, just like this, quite sporty, right? Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Mazda CX-5. That, well, it's not a classic vehicle, but you know, but a classic model, so to speak, one of their all-rounders and evergreens. And we have it here with a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated engine, the big petrol engine, here with around 200 horsepower without the turbocharger. In the US, that's also the stronger one with a turbocharger available. We have this new drive mode selector here in the middle part, and we can also go to the sports mode, for example. Oh, we have a great road surface here. And let's do one acceleration. We're now at 60 kilometers an hour. We'll just do a short, in between sprint from 60 to 80. Plop, that's it. Yeah, and you hear this naturally aspirated engine, really going in the RPMs. Now we have to switch the motorway right here. Now one further, right? Yeah, one further. Yeah, we're around Barcelona here today, and gonna get used. Yeah, it's the first time this year for me actually in Barcelona. We can go back to the normal driving mode right here. It also switches a little bit in the instruments. Sports mode goes red, normal rather has this bright scheme. The CX-5 always good here in the steering, has a very natural steering feeling, so it doesn't feel artificial at all, and it's also very precise. You can see it also here in that corner. They have, for this facelift here, worked on the noise insulation and also a little bit some chassis details and so on. And especially now when we have here a very good road surface, you feel it's really more silent than before. So it is not the most astonishing all-new vehicle whatsoever. It's not all electric yet and so on, but it does everything very well what it's designed to do for. And here, around 80 kilometers an hour, so like 50 miles an hour, it is very, very silent. So as for the noise insulation, feels really sophisticated, and indeed we feel some improvement. Soon we'll also head out to the mountains, have some more winding roads, then we can also check out how it is for the driving agility and so on. Blind spot monitor is here in the side mirrors. It's a good feature, and when you hit the turning indicator, it's also blinking and also gave this acoustic warning. Sorry if I irritated someone now, but yeah, that's for testing purposes definitely. Here once again, let me go to the sport mode one more time. And then, yeah, it's a nice red color we have here. Then we go from 75 kilometers an hour. Let's do another acceleration and let's go. Plop, that's 100. So you see, you can still accelerate on the motorway. It does sound a little bit, that it would be stressed out. That's the thing when you don't have that turbo. Other than that, when you keep it at low RPMs, it's also reasonably silent. That's the thing with the naturally aspirated engines. There's one less thing that can break. There's no turbo, so it cannot break down. But then again, when you really want that power, when you really need it, you have to hammer the throttle. and just work with high revs. So you have to go for that. Then you can also get the power out of these engines, definitely. Then lane change here, once again, very good as for the steering feeling. So since you also have the upright seating position, it's still a very good motorway vehicle. And here with the facelift, with the upgraded noise insulation, even a little bit calmer than also on longer journeys. Now some beautiful winding roads. That's the cool thing about Barcelona, by the way. It's of course a very vibrant city, also with a nice beach. But then you can drive out like 10-15 minutes and you're already in the mountains and have really nice routes. So here, let's go to the sport mode once again. Ooh, red background. And we have, we can test some slalom here. You can see, once again, natural steering feeling. And the car doesn't lean too much. However, suspension has found a good compromise actually. So it's not too stiff, it's not too soft. It delivers you enough comfort without being too soft. I think very good here. Although we also have the big wheels that we've shown you earlier on this vehicle here. It's not that I will say like, you need to have smaller wheels to have sufficient comfort or something. Here, when we don't need the acceleration, we can also go to normal mode, just more relaxing to drive. However, if you want more comfort, of course, the smaller wheels will always do a good job because you just have more tire dampening, so to speak. This SUV here will be one of the most important SUVs in the years to come. It is the Toyota Corolla Cross. Here with Thomas, an Autogefühl for you. Well, the name Corolla stands for itself. The normal compact car, the Toyota Corolla, the most sold vehicle overall worldwide, over 50 million times, and they want to continue this success story with this compact SUV. That's why they're naming then Toyota Corolla Cross and also fitting to that segment. They want to sell over 400,000 pieces a year with that one here. And it's very interesting because already internally in the Toyota brand, it sits between the CHR and the RAV4 size-wise. And there's also the new, very small brother, the Toyota Yaris Cross. We also have both of these vehicles here in the yellow or golden car, the Yaris Cross, and then the new Corolla Cross next to it. And they differ quite a lot in size. I will also tell you soon more about that. But let's start here with the front. A very bold front. It's kind of like a baby RAV4 already from the looks. It looks really strong for this compact SUV segment. I think Toyota recently had, especially when I think about the CHR, for example, they had some design methods where maybe weren't that ideal. But this one looks amazing and really bold, doesn't it? The length here of the Toyota Corolla Cross is 4.46 meters or 176 inches. And that is particularly interesting indeed because it sits also between a lot of the competitors. It is longer than the Honda CRV, a Mazda CX-30, a Volkswagen T-Roc, and it's a little bit shorter than the Mazda CX-5 or the VW Tiguan or the Honda CRV. And this position in between makes it kind of ready to attack all of the competitors at the same time. Very interesting proposal. 17 or optional 18-inch wheels. We have the bigger ones right here. Then we have these crossover wheel arches, kind of like trapeze or trapezoid style. Once again, I think very bold statement for a compact SUV. Also here with the contrasting cladding. And then we have the interesting, very premium-like touch with the Corolla Cross lettering here. So this looks off-roadish, right? I mean, we also have some soft off-roading in our driving part today. In the rear, also a very consistent design, horizontal, these tail lamps here, and not much playing around. Once again, bold statement, contrasting colors, but not too much. And also no fake exhaust whatsoever. I think this is really a good example of how to design a modern SUV. It goes, by the way, top speed 180 kilometers an hour or 112 miles an hour. T-fob is very light and simple, does the job, defo. And then the doors here with door closing sound, let's see. Well, that doesn't sound good at all. Well, that's one catch, but what about the interior? Well, here at the inside of the doors, that's soft touch and it looks nice. It has kind of like a leather surface, I would say, but it is not leather. But not animal leather, so like a like a leatherette kind of surface, but looks really high class indeed. And also here the door handle from the inside. So this is a step up the game by Toyota. Some space at the inside of the doors here as well. And then this interior, it does remind of some other models, of course. And here the steering wheel with real buttons still. That's good to have, that you can real click on that thing. Everything resonates very well with that quality here. This is hard click here at the left side. This as well, but this one also here too. But it looks actually quite nice with that kind of stamped in surface structure. That's cool. The seats, you either get base fabric seats, black, or in US also in the bright style. Higher trims come with Softex high-grade leatherette on the American market. However, in the European market, Toyota still sells these here containing animal parts. Seating position is actually really good. It's very comfortable from the seats. They are not too much caging you in, yet at the same they do offer you side support. They're quite sporty actually, but not too sporty, so I think they found a great seating, really good ergonomics from the seats. The position here, you can put the steering wheel in and out, up and down, so you can find a very good driving position. It already feels like a grown-up SUV indeed, without being too big for some purposes, like a RAV4 or a VW Tiguan or something. The Tiguan Allspace, of course, is a little bit longer. That would be the base Tiguan in the US. So yeah, I think this is a very nice feeling and good, in-between segment they found here between the CHR and the RAV4 for them. Headroom here with 189 or 602. Yeah, plenty of headroom left, no problem at all. Base would be 7-inch screen with analog gauges. These here are the optional 12.3-inch full digital instruments. And they also have nice visualizations for the driving mode, like here the power mode, the eco mode, or the normal mode, which rather has to do with throttle input, for example. And you always have a nice digital speedometer right there, so it does the job. And of course the consumption, that one went up when we're going uphill and off-roading. You can score better consumption figures, like 5 liters on 1 kilometers on motorway driving, 1 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour. That would be like 47 mpg US, 56 mpg UK, and even better actually when you had a little bit less fast driving and make more use of that hybrid drivetrain. The dashboard here in the lower area has a nice leatherette texture and also has some kind of soft touch top. That's really nice. And also here, the glove box is dampened. That's nice actually, quality-wise. And then, well, just when shutting it, it makes a typical noise. But I can live with that. Then here, this middle console right there, this is the automatic shifting lever. You also have the drive mode buttons here. And the electric parking brake and the cup holders, they are a little bit open. They are not adaptive. And I don't like the high gloss black piano lacquer here. And the, this one here is not that well attached though, but you have some more space underneath. Here's an area I do appreciate. These buttons here, here for seat heating, high and low, heated steering wheel, they look kind of old school, but in a way or in a world where everything is now digitalized, this resonates very well. It has to have it really has a nice clicking sound, and it gives a kind of like tough feeling to the vehicle. That's funny. USB-A chargers here in the front, but also inductive charging pad, and USB-C chargers will be in the back. Infotainment system, you would start with an 8-inch one in the US, but already features Apple CarPlay and Android Auto Wireless. And this one here is the bigger 10.25-inch. So just bigger in the screen than here. And actually it does have a GPS you can use. It's maybe not as good as Google Maps or Apple Maps, but the first time we were in a Toyota, and I also saw the shuttle drivers using the Toyota internal GPS. So that speaks for it indeed. So, and then the base system here, I deactivate this beeping sound because it drives you nuts, by the way. It doesn't have too much things, but most of the time you will use it for the smartphone mirroring anyway, and that is a very nice large integration of Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So now some music. That is actually a very good sound here in that. Wow, that is amazing. Woo. I mean, this vehicle has some, in a lot of ways premium touch. And by the way, this is here another volume adjustment inside the screen, but there are also real buttons. Well, to turn something for real is the climate unit, and that is also great for the easy user interface. Vent strength is here, but to me the most important is I can actually just change the temperature slightly and easily while driving. Inside of doors, it has a structure, that's nice, but it's actually hard pack. So yeah, I used my door for that, but it looks actually quite decent. The doors do not open that wide. That might be a problem for getting child seats in and out, but you do have Isofix on the outside seats each, and also the nice soft touch leatherette here for the rear seats. You can also change the angle of the seats here a little bit, make them more upright or put them more behind, and the seating comfort is actually quite decent. It is not segment leading in legroom, better than the CHR, but it's getting really close when I'm driving in the front. But if the driver is a little bit smaller, it's fine, and you can use this car with 4 tall adults. That is possible indeed. So better than the CHR. The RAV4 of course has a little bit more space, and if we take a look at the external competitors, VW Tiguan would be similar. The Tiguan is a little bit better, but it's also the bigger car. Honda has the best package. Already the HRV, the small one, offers great legroom in the rear in comparison to other vehicles in the segment. And the CRV, of course, really good. So they are not segment leading here, the Toyota Corolla Cross, as for legroom, but headroom is actually totally fine. There's a lot of headroom left, and the quality here in the rear also seems fine. Cup holders are not adaptive though, but everything else feels and looks good. 2 USB-C chargers here in the lower part, by the way. Let's take a look at the trunk or the boot. Brian, you from the UK. Is it boot at UK, right? It's boot,
That's
right?
boot.
Yeah, boot. So that's why I always say both, trunk and or boot. And in Germany, by the way, it's Kofferraum or Gepäckraum. So Kofferraum is more like suitcase area in a direct translation. Listen and repeat, Kofferraum. That's the new German vocabulary here on Autogefühl today. Yeah, Gepäckraum would be more like loading area, and you can say both actually. 430 liters it is here, or 25 cubic feet. Let's take a detailed look. The only thing I don't like is this cover here. I mean, it doesn't have a sharp edge, that's good, so that's, no problem. But here you don't have any gap in here, so you always have to do like this to remove it. You can live with it, but it's not ideal. Here, a lot of space indeed, and these gaps here in the side, they are very well done, because you can use it here, for example, for Brian's laptop bag, or here for my backpack right there. So very well done indeed. And the minimum width here is about 90 centimeters or 35 inches. That's already good. But I mean, here then, if you use then these gaps on the inside, it's like acres of space in width. That's very well done. And here the length is about 85 centimeters or 33 inches. So that's already quite decent. And the height, I mean, there is a small loading sill step here, but that's then meaning you have 80 centimeters or 31 inches of height. That's good. You fold the seats, you can grab over from here. You do have some kind of step then here, because the suitcases are also tied together. So there is this step right here. But then again, you get the full height here. So that, by the way, underneath the cover is nothing in the hybrid version, at least here. So, and then the full length to my seat as I would be driving is about like 165 or 64 inches. Let's take a look at the engines here. So in the US market, for example, most important and the main engine is a 2-liter naturally aspirated engine with around 10 seconds in the acceleration figure. Same acceleration would have the 1.8 hybrid, all 4-cylinder engines. And then there is a 2-liter hybrid we have here today. That's the quickest one with 7.5 seconds in the acceleration figure. This one here is also available as an all-wheel drive version. Then it has an electric motor in the rear, an additional one. The hybrid system here, of course, for better fuel economy. We'll tell you more about that later on. What's interesting is when you go for these hybrid drivetrains, the 1.8 or the 2-liter hybrid, they have the 5th generation hybrid now. Lithium-ion battery, less weight, more efficiency, more power. If that's all true, we'll find out in the driving part very soon. Welcome to Thomas's driving lounge with the Toyota Corolla Cross, and starting here on the motorway, about 80 kilometers an hour, so like 50 miles an hour. Wow, I mean, it behaves very, very well. So it's really silent and smooth. So Brian also, that was one of the first things he told me. when he was entering the car and we were getting on the motorway and just getting off now so I can enter again to give you something of the acceleration, it is indeed super smooth. And let's just, hit the accelerator pedal when we go uphill and go 60 to 80. Let's see how smooth that is. Well, that's it. That was almost 85. So it's quite okay, you still have this CVT-alike feeling, although it's this, e-CVT in the hybrid. So, but it's definitely less than before. So also the acceleration feels less hybrid-alike, I would say. So it indeed feels like a more premium vehicle, I would say, and definitely like a baby RAV4. You sit a little bit lower and it's not that large around you. And also like from the things you feel, see, and touch, and so on. This is really a notable upgrade. Also, how the infotainment works and so on. So now at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and it's still reasonably silent. Although the tarmac here around Barcelona is quite rough indeed and does give a lot of noise. We can also have the adaptive cruise control in this vehicle, depending on the trim level, of course. Set now to about 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour. You have different assistance systems. You also have the lane keeping assist, the active one. Now it is active. Let's see how smooth we are kept in the lane actually. See here so far, no hectic steering movements. Very smooth. There's also blind spot monitor. At the moment no one is overtaking us, but there's like a blinking then in the side mirrors. Now it already complains. Unavailable soon, take control of the steering wheel. There we go. So far. And that's also a thing with this vehicle. They get the latest generation of the assistance systems by Toyota. So latest hybrid technology and latest assistance systems. There's the blind spot monitor. When you hit the turning indicator, there's also a flashing of this warning then. And about this hybrid system, the first thing we mentioned to you, so it is more powerful now that you don't get this typical slow feeling, It is still a little bit, yes, and they usually don't put the most powerful engines in these vehicles. That's not what they're best in, but it's definitely a little bit quicker than before. This one here, as the 2-liter hybrid we're driving, goes 7.5 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour, and that is already quite okay for a car of that size and for this segment, definitely. So at the same time, they say they are more efficient, and at the end of our test drive we'll also try to confirm that. So, and that's the thing, more power yet at the same time more efficiency. How do they actually gain that? A little bit of weight losses. There's lithium-ion battery now being used, and also they reduce the friction inside engine parts, and these are the measures they're trying to achieve that by. So at the moment we're about 5 liters on 1 kilometers, which is a typical Toyota hybrid consumption, and we'll see if we can also keep that up at a later stage when we drove for a little bit further. But considering this is motorway driving here now, which is not the best ideal situation for hybrid, it's more like when you have city traffic that you can make use of some recuperation, that's totally fine. Also inside the tunnel, which is usually quite loud, it's staying relatively silent. So I'm not sure about you, Brian, but the Toyotas I have been driving, this one seems to be the most silent one as to like noise insulation. What's your take?
I'm actually kind of blown away by this car so far. It really delivers a lot more than I expected of it.
A really nice ride, also suspension-wise, So we also had some rougher roads. We are now at normal average motorway speed, and the suspension is really doing a good job. So it's smooth, but at the same time it's actually like sporty enough. We're here at the moment at 18-inch wheels, once again in that tunnel here, and they also offer 17-inch wheels for entry-level models. They're a little bit later for European market, but I think the 18 are actually quite fine. The 17 will be a softer ride, but this one is a very good compromise, So, and also the feedback I have from the steering, this is really, here, like some subtle movements are being transported to the road without being exaggerated. So really, really happy with the steering movement. When we soon get off the motorway, we'll also do some more winding corners that you can experience a little bit more about that.
Now that's where I'm really interested to see. That's where this car is going to prove itself or not.
Yeah,
because
it's
two
small,
things
yeah.
that our last driving experience on a Toyota together, do you remember, was in the hills. And
Yeah, with the Igo X. Yeah,
there we found some challenges. Well, the famous distinctive Toyota whine you get when you're going up a hill, I'm really excited to see.
But I always show like a short bit. It was definitely better, than before. But it was just a very short hill,
Until we get it on a big hill with lots of windy corners, we're really not going to get a full sense of that.
See here, like a lane change.
That's nice.
It's nice, like really smooth. Like, let's change it back.
Really nice.
It feels actually like almost kind of sporty. We also have the drive modes here. There's the power drive mode as well. Oh, that changes like eco, normal. That was the side of the road. Yeah, the power mode, but let's see if the steering changes. Power mode, eco. Nah, not really. So it's more about the throttle input, that from a power mode we have more reaction in the throttle pedal. That's fast. Yeah, always the Germans, right? In the Audis. We are the non-Germans today. So like this automatic thing. I'm not sure if you're like if you're from Spain, maybe it would drive me nuts. So that is something I really appreciate about German Autobahn, the German motorways. That, we pay our taxes, and we pay a lot of taxes in Germany. At least we can use the motorways then for free. So 30 kilometers an hour. Let's bump. Oh, it's good suspension test. Feels quite smooth as well, right? So now 40 kilometers an hour. Let's go. Uphill. 60. 90. That's okay. That's really okay. It is not a super fast car. That's not how it's supposed to be.
You know what, Thomas? I'm going to say something really shocking and controversial now.
Yes.
If you blindfolded me and you blocked my ears, and that bit's important, I could almost think I was driving in a BMW.
Really?
The characteristic, the quality of the experience too. The seats are really good.
I think that might be the last time I could send Brian to a BMW event. if BMW guys are watching this.
I did say you got to lose the sound, and I think that's quite an important component of the car.
Yeah.
But the drive is really good in this car.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. And so you definitely have less of this annoying, like the stretching, feeling like it really feels so much more refined. So yeah, I'm really a fan of this new 5th generation powertrain of the hybrids. There will also be a natural aspirated engine for the US guys available. So basically this engine without the hybrid, that will be lower in the entry price and so on. But also this one, of course, profits a little bit from the upgrades this car is experiencing without the hybrid thing, of course. Then this here is a full review of the Volkswagen Taos, this new SUV in the compact segment, and it is Volkswagen's recipe for the US to replace the Golf, because the Golf is only available as GTI and Golf R anymore in the US, and this compact SUV is supposed to fill the gap below the Tiguan. Let's take a closer look here with Thomas and Autogefühl. Let's go! What do you think about this front design here? I like it pretty much because it has a bold styling. It's really modern at the same time, also with the daytime running light integration. It's also available here with the IQ light by Volkswagen. That's their matrix LED naming. And here in the lower part you can see the contrasting black and red. King's Red is the color for today, by the way. And this is a lot of plastic here, especially in the lower part, that might appear cheap at first. At the other side is the way that when you have some small damages, it can also be replaced easier and of course in a cheaper way. 4.46 meters or 176 inches is the length of the Taos, which is sold under the name Tharu in China, by the way. Also interesting. And size-wise, actually, it is kind of equal like the Tiguan in the EU and 9 inches shorter than the Tiguan in the US, which is sold under Tiguan Allspace in Europe. Also interesting, isn't it? And I think it has a very modern look here, also with the crossover wheel arches and the Taos badge right here. Wheels start from 17-inch, 18 and then up to 19-inch here with a massive styling. We'll see also in the driving part if it still fits with the driving comfort then later on. And here you can see roof rails, and the lower part is in this chrome styling. So overall, I think, once again, a modern look, and even a little bit more modern than the Tiguan. We await, of course, a Tiguan facelift very soon. Stay subscribed here on Autogefühl if you want to see that soon. The Seat Ateca or the Skoda Kodiaq are also sister models in Europe, by the way. And here in the rear, if you have the IQ Light option, you also have a more sophisticated design for the rear lamps. This one equipped with 4Motion, that's their brand name for the all-wheel drive. And wait a minute. AFAP, alert, Autogefühl fake exhaust. Yeah, that's a true alert for that one. The Autogefühl fake exhaust police has to be active because these are, the purest form of fake exhaust. The real one is underneath. Yeah, but the styling here, once again, with contrast, that is actually quite decent, isn't it? Khaki has a matte appearance. I really like that. This, of course, not stock. It's like for the test vehicle here. It's pretty cool because when you have high gloss black, you easier collect scratches and so on. And here, this is like like a budget system for a keyless entry, not like with in and out, but you press this button here. But yeah, I'm fine with that. That way you close the vehicle and open it also again. Why not? Then door closing sound. Not too good though, I have to say. Used to better door closing sounds from Volkswagen. Then the top part is already soft touch, has also nice structure. And here you can get a leatherette surface, and here once again too. So it's actually decently built. And here also how the resonance of the quality, like click, click. That's actually good and easy to control here, the side mirrors. This is a straightforward user interface still. Taos entry badge, and these are the seats which have, let's see here some accentuations, nice contrast stitching. So it's very good that you're being held tight. As for the material setup, this is animal skin in the SEL trim. However, you can also get cloth seats with some leatherette, they call it Cloud Tex, some leatherette applications. For example, also in the SE trim. So the lower trims then offer the more comfortable seats because here the animal skin surface is a little bit stiffer, therefore also a little bit less comfortable. But the seat ergonomics is excellent because, it's not a large SUV, but you have a very good seating position even for tall people like me. Leaves a lot of headroom, and again, it's very good ergonomics in seating. And here, steering wheel in and out, up and down. You can very well find a good seating position. You don't need more SUV indeed. Interior overview, very clean and straightforward. Not the only generation of Volkswagen interiors, but I prefer this one here. This is the interior generation where the VW interiors were still really good. Why? I'm going to tell you right now. First of all, it's like this is leatherette application here, also with the contrast stitching. That is, more premium atmosphere. And here also not high gloss black, but more this gray. That's also a nicer touch. The infotainment, it starts with 6.5 or optional or in higher trims, it's 8-inch like here, but you still have a manual volume knob and a manual tune knob. For example, you can also, when you use the car internal GPS, then you can zoom in and out with that. But here, let's take a close look. This is like the different clock views. Actually quite interesting. So when you have the car internal GPS, let's see. There we go. Then you can use this one here as zooming in and out. That's of course a handy thing. It doesn't work with the Apple CarPlay though. And the menu is straightforward. It's easy and it's actually decently fast. And I don't want more from the infotainment system. It's just supposed to work. And most of the time, most of us, we just connect to Android Auto, Apple CarPlay anyway. And then we have this one here actually. And this is totally fine for me, and it is working. It does not have the software problems like all new Volkswagen generations, so I would prefer this indeed. And indeed, this is the Volkswagen interior generation we all loved. Real buttons for the steering wheel heating, for example, and also for the sound here, the volume on the left, for the cruise control. And VW is now realizing that this was better than the all-new solutions, and they will bring back the buttons. They have confirmed that. So our hashtag capacitive BS, this hashtag has helped for that. Well done, everyone here. Then the digital instruments. This is also very interesting. Well, you can also get the map from the central screen here in the middle part, or then go all the way like this. But this only works for the car internal map, and it's now there, but then it's not in the central part anymore. And as soon as I, switches back again, then it's disappearing here. So yeah, and most of the time you will use the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and that's it. Here, by the way, the MPG figure, that's one catch of this vehicle. It could be better. So for a small SUV, it's not that efficient. As for the view, I rather prefer this classic view where you have the round dials style. And then, for example, you have like a consumption overview in the middle. Manual climate dials here for temperature and also for the vent strength, and I can control them blindfolded basically while driving. That's what I want, what I need indeed. That's just awesome. Why temperature sliders when you can have this one? And also here seat heating and also seat cooling, and also so easy to control. Then in the front, 2 USB-C chargers, but also inductive charging. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is wireless and wired, possible both you can. Then it's actually a quite attractive shifting lever. This is the drive mode then, or pull it backward for sports driving mode, for turning up the RPMs. It has a really good feeling to it. And then here, this is the drive mode selector, like for off-road mode. Has to do with the overdrive distribution and so on, or click it on the inside for the street driving modes, for example, for the sport mode. Then we have adaptive cup holders, like here, and it's also very well built as for the build quality, and they really hold bottles and so on really tight then. And here, the armrest, nice leatherette cover, and it's also very well attached. It doesn't wobble left and right. That's, for example, better than with Toyota. It doesn't wobble left and right that much. And on the inside, some more space. So it even goes, yeah, it's actually enough, I would say. Rear seating, let's take a look right here. Inside of the doors is hard pack materials, but again, consider the pricing, which is rather low, then rather soft leatherette right here. Looks like quite some nice space. And what's interesting here, the ISOFIX cover for the child seats, you can just push them in like this, and then you can install them and later on push them back again. It's an interesting idea for sure. Let's take a look at the legroom. This seat is, as I would be driving, as a tall person, and you see it's good legroom offering indeed. So it's not a very long vehicle, but there's plenty of legroom left, and it's a very comfortable seating position here. And also here with 189 or 6'2", there's some headroom left. So very well usable. It's really making a lot of the exterior length, transporting it to the interior space. That's really cool. And it's really decent comfort. You cannot adjust here the back part. It's either folding flat or nothing. But the angle is fine. Actually, I'm surprised how comfortable it is actually. And in the middle part, well, there is this rather large middle tunnel, but you can also sit in the middle part. It's not the, as comfortable as on the outside seats, but this vehicle can house 5 tall adults indeed. There's a USB-C charger here in the rear part. And finally, let's take a look here. We can fold the middle armrest down. There are more cup holders. You can also use this one here as a ski hatch. As for the panoramic roof, when it's really hot, you have this shade here. And this, really protects the whole vehicle. But you can see how far it goes. And let me show you that. So here we go. So we can lift the shade, and you see it really goes all the way. Some flies here, all the way. Takes some time, but the motor is actually quite silent, so it's not too loud. And this is really cool, especially when you sit here in the rear. Then you can look all the way to the front, and it's also possible to open that whole thing. And yeah, it's really spanning all the way wide of the vehicle, both in width and also in length. Almost convertible feeling in this compact SUV here. Oh, music, yeah. Manual hatch here. Let's take a look at the trunk or the boot. And I feel like, how you move the hatch so and how it goes up, it feels like good quality indeed. And it's 28 cubic feet for the front wheel drive, 25 cubic feet here for the all-wheel drive, because you lose a little bit of height here. The width here is 1 meter or 40 inches, so it's a good width, and the normal length of the trunk is about 85 centimeters or 33 inches. So very reusable. You can also install a cover right here. At the moment it is removed. Well, in a way it's good, because then you can easier fold the seat right here and then reach maximum length to the seat I would be driving as a tall person with like 1 meter 65 or 64 inches. What else is interesting that when we lift this one here, there is a spare tire underneath. Under the hood we have a 1.5 TSI, 4-cylinder, turbocharged, one at 60 horsepower, front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, automatic gearbox, and if you go for the all-wheel drive model, you have the dual clutch transmission as auto gearbox. Welcome to Thomas's driving lounge with the Volkswagen Taos, and we'll start here in downtown LA because this is supposed to be VW's budget SUV for the US that more people are able to afford, and then, for example, also do some city driving because it still has a rather decent size and it's not too big actually. And that's again a good advantage for driving in the city. It is indeed rather compact, so when it's getting a little bit narrower somewhere in the street, for example, it's not getting annoying and you can find a good parking spot, even though when the parking spot is not too large and so on. At the same time, it's not a tiny one, so maybe when you're next to bigger SUVs or sedans or also some trucks, you don't feel like too tiny actually. So I think it's really a right-sized SUV that serves so many purposes. It is equipped with the 1.5 TSI 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine here with 160 horsepower, either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Here we are driving the all-wheel drive version, and it is with a clutch in the middle. That means we have still predominantly front-wheel drive, and if we hammer the throttle, then we also have the rear axle on demand. So the more you apply the throttle, the more you also have support from the rear wheels. It will remain then with this front wheel bias, but that's not too bad actually. It's not that you would plan to drive very sporty in this one. However, it does feel quite agile, and we know from Europe the Volkswagen T-Roc, that's a little bit smaller than this one, and in Europe we have the EU Tiguan, which is almost the same size than this one, and the Tiguan Allspace in the EU is the normal Tiguan in the US, and that is a little bit longer than this one. So when I'm driving this one here from a European perspective, this one here feels like something between T-Roc and Tiguan. And that's not a bad thing at all, and it feels actually very good in driving. See here, the steering is very precise and progressive. You don't have to steer too much. The US spec versions, I feel that the steering is rather a little bit softer. I also felt it when driving the Volkswagen Atlas, for example. But here I found that the steering is actually better than in the Atlas. In the Atlas you have more play here in the low degree angle, and that's not the case here. Even if you have slight steering degree turns, you do have a feedback, so I think a very good steering setup here. It also changes a little bit depending on the driving mode. For example, you can go to the sports mode, then there's more throttle response, RPMs are turned up higher as well before the next shifting is taking place, and then also the steering has some more resistance. But you can also, for example, set a custom mode, and in that custom mode, for example, I adjusted it on the parking lot before, they have here a safety function that you cannot change while driving. I think it's different in the EU. So in that way, for example, I've set the custom mode, that everything else is set to the normal, but just the steering is set to a little bit more resistance. That would be my favorite setup because I like to have more natural resistance feeling in the steering actually, but want to leave everything else as it is, and that you can have by this custom mode. For example, I've did exactly the same here now. There is a great overview with this vehicle, especially here on the motorway. If you think like who's right, who's left, it's for me always a little bit special because on US motorways you can get overtaken, or you can overtake people left and right, and in Europe it's actually really strictly only allowed to overtake on the left. So it's good to have a good overview here, but you also have a blind spot monitor that appears then when someone is about to overtake you, and it's also appearing quite early, that warning. Suspension wise, there's just a normal suspension available here. There is the blind spot monitor. I'm not sure if you can see it. There's like and when I set the turning indicator, then it also has a flashing effect, even warning me further. So that's a very, very good safety feature to have. And I'm feeling fairly comfortable here on the motorway. We are at 55 miles per hour, so around 100 kilometers an hour. And wind noises are actually quite good, so it's not too loud in here. And the good thing here about the Taos is really, it is an agile, versatile SUV So you already feel like you could go on a longer road trip with this one because the seating position is upright and comfortable. If you go for the lower trim specs where you have the fabric seating service, this will deliver even more comfort. Here the animal skin seating tends to get hotter in summer times, and also since the material is stiffer, it doesn't adapt to the body that well. So that it's still good comfort because the seat ergonomics is great, especially for tall people. That's the thing has been for decades with Volkswagen vehicles and also Audi. They always had good ergonomics, together with Volvo as well, for tall people. That's really important to me then, of course, in this case. And the comfort, seating comfort while driving is even better when you have then the fabric seats. So you can save money, go for the lower trim versions and have even more comfort. So it is a good vehicle here for the motorway. At the same time, it is also a good vehicle actually for winding corners. We will also do that very soon. Check out more about that, also steering, agile driving and so on. But this is to me really the special thing about this vehicle, and it's the same also with the EU Tiguan, well in a way also with the US Tiguan, because it is slightly longer and you can also have this 7-seater option in the Tiguan, or Tiguan Allspace as we call it in the EU then. But they both drive kind of similar, so not a large difference. The Tiguan you would rather pick if you want a little bit more space, or that 7-seater option that you have that, you know, just when you need it actually. And this one here, when you want to save money, and we have to go, yeah. So this one here, when you want to save money and don't need the space actually. But to me, this all feels really fine here. Also getting off the motorway, it is actually a very fun ride, and to me, is really crucial because we're all car enthusiasts here watching our program. But not everyone can or wants to spend so much money on a vehicle. And that's why I love vehicles that are kind of affordable, at the same time deliver driving fun, and you have basically everything you need, you know, and you have no features like, oh my God, really? Some cars do have that, you know, and that's why I love also vehicles like, you know, Honda HRV or Honda CRV or Honda Civic or like here the VW Taos. They are everyday driving vehicles which are fun to drive without spending too much money on, and they already deliver you all you need. That's really cool. And to me, crucial thing is really the steering feeling. It really gives you a great natural connection to the vehicle. Here now, speed hump. Yeah, the suspension is actually fine, you know. So we also have the rather bigger wheels for this vehicle here on the but they also do a good job. They are, of course, are beautiful visually. If you go for the smaller wheels, you will have a little bit more dampening covered from the tire, but both will work fine. Screen size is also large enough for me here. That's fine. I have my my Google Maps here connected. You could also use the car internal GPS, but Google Maps or Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, they also just deliver you a better connection. Here now, acceleration. Plop, that was like a 0 to 40 miles an hour acceleration. It's not the most powerful engine. It also, you know, you could feel that the engine is working actually, but it's fine, you know. When you do like the 0-2 start, okay, it's working a little bit, but it's still fine. And this was also the normal mode. We can also, at the next chance, put it to sport mode and see how about difference there in the sport mode. The RPMs will just be turned up higher and the shifting will be later, so the acceleration will be a little bit quicker. But it's also the right sized engine for this vehicle. It's powerful enough. Due to the turbo, you also still have some acceleration when you're on the motorway, and you still need some acceleration more. So that's actually also fine. And I think they nailed it really with the package here. And Volkswagen is so extremely successful still in the European market and has been a market leader there and also in China. But in the US, they have been struggling with sales, especially in the past years. Although their portfolio here with the Taos, for example, and also with the Atlas, is not too bad. So the SUVs are actually doing a good job. Problem is, of course, when they have like the big competition, especially with Toyota. That Toyota, especially among US customers, has scored so well with the reliability figures. And the running time of the cars in the US is always longer. The average, the daily commuting time, so like, and also the daily kilometers commuting. So in Europe we have like an average of 20 to 30 kilometers a day on average, and in US it's usually double, like 50 to 60 kilometers a day. And that of course more takes also focus on, hey, which car is really more reliable? And Toyota and Lexus, always when there are new reliability figures, they always score the first and second spot. And this, I think, something where Volkswagen has to work, especially with the US customers, to show like, hey, you know, we also want to go more on a reliability focus. So in Germany, I didn't have too many problems with the VWs yet, as for reliability, rather with the more recent vehicles, with the software and so on. But maybe you can also share your experience in the reliability with your Volkswagen, with your VW customer. This, however, here is not the all new thing, platform software, and that's a good thing, because this older software, older touchscreen generation here is doing a great job. You know, it doesn't have the biggest size, it doesn't do some fancy things, but at the same time, it also doesn't do some faults while driving, and that's fine. That's all I need here, this screen and my smartphone mirroring, and this is then indeed a reliable screen mirroring. And our final test consumption for today, 27 mpg US, that's like 32 mpg UK. That's some 9 liters on 100 kilometers. And that's just too much for a car of that size. You asked me to drive the all-new generation of the Kia Sportage. Well, here we go. Let's go. So how good is it now, and can it reach the top of this segment? We'll find out together. Thomas and Autogefühl. And thanks to the Heinen dealership in Germany for supplying the vehicle for us. Check it out if you want to buy one. Then you can see here the all-new generation, a strong front. Here this very sporty grille, here even sportier because this is the GT line. And we also have the silver contrast here in the lower part and the sporty look right here. And of course you see it directly here, these daytime running lights, this blade so to speak. Wow, that looks really impressive. So big change here for the new generation, also with this new Kia logo. LED is standard for the main headlamp unit, Matrix LED is an option. Now even more interesting, so everything I'm telling you today basically counts for all the new Sportage versions worldwide. However, there's one difference. So this one here, built in Slovakia for the European market with the short wheelbase at 4 meters 51 or 178 inches. Then there's also long wheelbase available that is built in Korea, or also for the US market in Georgia for the new generation. That's very interesting. A little bit longer wheelbase and overall 15 centimeters or 5 inches longer, so it's not the biggest difference. But here also that rear window graphic will look a little bit different. But from the front here, that area, all the same actually. The GT line would usually come already with 19-inch wheels, however here 18-inch winter tires mounted. And also in the GT line we have here the painted wheel arches in black then, which is still a contrast here to this very dark grey color we have for you here today. Then also the contrasting mirrors and still a chrome trim in the lower part, then the black one in the upper part. That's a very interesting design combination. And then you have this, you know, braking design line. They did that intentionally on purpose, but I think clean design is a more beautiful design, so not a fan of this feature here. Are you? There's also a unique new rear design. The light strip does not go through, although it looks like it at first when it's not illuminated, but you can see here also pretty cool with the tail lamps right there. And also a contrasting part here, diffuser style kinda, maybe like soft off-road style or something. No fake exhaust, that's actually quite good. So a very clean and interesting design in the rear. And what's also interesting is suspension-wise, either base or here with the GT line, you automatically get the electronically controlled suspension, ECS. We will test it today. I'm really looking forward to it. Khaki, classic but good quality. And here the controls at the sides, like that. Then press it here for the keyless entry and door closing sound. Okay, but have heard it better. Yeah, and beep beep beep, that's of course, you know, key is not in the vehicle, ignition is on, and so on and so on. Then inside here of the doors is, yeah, somewhat soft touch, so that's actually good. Then a lot of high gloss piano lacquer is being used. We don't like it that much actually. But then here, the GT line also gets a microfiber at the inside of the doors. That's actually quite fancy. And then this completely new cockpit layout here with that sporty steering wheel style. Hey, and we still have real buttons at the steering wheel, left for the volume, for example, right then to control the cruise control. Seats come fabric as base, or then here in the GT line, they come with the animal free leatherette on the inside. And then here at the side parts, there's microfiber. Maybe it would have been clever to also have microfiber in the middle part, however, for more breathability. But this is also, you know, a cool way here, GT line. So overall, pretty nice looking seats. But are they also comfortable? Yes, indeed. So makes a very good impression so far. So getting along with it, 1.86 m or 6'1". This is the headroom I still have left, although this one is here, the one with the panoramic roof. You can also open that one, ignition on, then you can open it, and it goes quite far, and also has a cover actually, so a shade that is, you know, you can block out the sun a little bit more. And also steering goes out, up, down, so manual way, but very good to adjust. The all-new interior in the overview, really interesting. First of all, soft touch dashboard here, and then 2x 12.3-inch screens. That looks impressive, definitely, but I freshly cleaned that for you, otherwise fingerprints all over the place. And also here, this lower unit, we will take a closer look at that very soon. Steering wheel view once again. Here you switch through the digital instruments on the right side, lane keeping assist on the left side. Then that's, you know, the volume control I would rather use, and press it here for muting it or then playing it back again. Digital instruments are clear to read. Mild hybrid system would be, you know, visually available right here, but still consumption around 9 liters on 100 kilometers, so barely some 30 mpg. That's not as good as expected. Here the driving modes also switch then these visualizations. That's actually quite fancy. And GPS wise, you can have some basic information there, but of course only when you have the car internal GPS. Central infotainment system here with a quite easy menu actually. Let's take a look here at the map. So this is then the inbuilt GPS, and I still don't get this grappling hook effect they're using. There are worse maps, but there are definitely better map software. I think that's clear, so rather would use the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto map for that. Other than that, here for example, to switch to the radio here for example, so that's possible, or then here to media when you have connected it with Bluetooth. At this moment I have connected this with Bluetooth, soon more to that why. Here first of all, optional Harman Kardon sound system. Very crystal clear sound. However, as for the surround sound, I would prefer it to come a little bit more from the back actually. But then let's finish up this, you know, this menu here. So not too much you can do with it. There's also a digital climate menu available, but usually you would all do that from below. This is what I mean. It's actually quite well done. Still, we have manual climate dials. I love to have that. That's so cool. Then they have this dual effect. So this is kind of like the climate menu, but you can switch it then to the GPS. Maybe have some hotkeys like map and so here, but and this one here then becomes the volume jog. However, since we have one at the steering wheel, I would rather leave it then here with a climate unit and to be able to control that here then all the time. Lower middle console, let's open this, and yeah, I mean, a lot of black paint, like can't there be something else? And then when you open this one, and today I cannot show the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto because look at that nice cable here, which has like this, you know, iPhone, USB-C, USB Classic. But when I put in this one and connect the iPhone, it says cable not supported. So it does not support these third-party cables. I often had it now in Hyundai or Kia vehicles, and yeah, do I have to always carry original Apple cables, super expensive, with me now all the time? That is really weird, isn't it? Then inductive charging pad also in the lower part. Here this area with a nice shifting lever for this new dual clutch transmission, reverse and drive mode, that's it. And here, very cool, heated seats, cooled seats. There's also nice, a leatherette seat that can be cooled, also nice to have that. And also here then heated steering wheel, great to have just individual buttons for these important functions. And then we have the drive mode selector here, for example for sport mode or the eco mode. And there's even, you know, here there's like a mid differential lock available. Oh, off-roading, also a hill descent control, so also somewhat off-road capable. Then we have either this open area or here then, yeah, cup holders. Oh, from the studio episode, they have been, you know, slowed down a little bit, but still they are really fast, like bam, there we go. And then we have this leatherette armrest. Let's see how, That's a little bit cheaply attached, but then, you know, for all your clutter, you have enough space. And the resolution is actually not too bad. Here I also have in this highest spec the fake drone view from above. Rear seats here, hardpack at the inside of the doors, but cool door handle design. And then here, when the seat is to the position I would be driving, I exactly fit in here. Also headroom wise, would be a little bit more headroom without the panoramic roof, but overall offering of space is okay. Also interesting, integrated jacket hanger here at the back part of this head restraint. So actually a cool idea. And seating position is good here also in the rear. You can also adjust this back part here a little bit more to the lying back position, more upright. And that's also easily done. Middle tunnel is somewhat present in the middle part. You can also see it's actually quite soft and plush, so you can use this vehicle here with 5 tall adults. That's possible. The middle part here, cup holders, but they are not adaptive. Oh, an interesting detail here. 2 USB-C chargers integrated here in the seat. And before I said, is Thomas absolutely insane? He shows 1, but he says 2. 1 and 2. There we go. I really like this feature that when you have the key just in your pocket and the car is closed and you approach it, peep, 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 you have to wait a little bit, and then without doing anything, the hatch opens. There's only one problem, that when you go past the vehicle and you really have parked close to a wall or something, then you have to just disappear quickly or hold it tight manually. Let's check out the trunk. Trunk area, you can get this rugged rubber pad here, but of course you do not have to get it. The width is about 1.40 meters and the length is around 80 centimeters or 31 inches. The overall height, really to the very top, is 75 centimeters or 29 inches. And then you can fold the seats from here. That's actually easily done. So left and right, and they directly fold flat. That's actually pretty cool. So good organization of that. And then to the front seats, as I would be driving, is 1.65 meters or 65 inches. And what about the child safety test? Yeah, I think that's feasible. Engines, 4-cylinder and front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive on demand, either 1.6 liter diesel or 1.6 liter turbo petrol engine, here with mild hybrid technology. There's also an inbuilt hybrid technology available or a plug-in hybrid, and all basically based on the same engine. And for the US market, there will be a 2.5 liter natural aspirated engine, a bigger one. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Kia Sportage all-new generation. Here the 1.6 turbo petrol engine, 180 horsepower, all-wheel drive, 7-speed dual clutch transmission. This one with MHEV, mild hybrid technology, so not the inbuilt hybrid, not the plug-in hybrid, the most, classic one so far. Here we do have a sport mode. When we go into sport mode, here instruments change. And let's go from, now I have this car pass, so it's safer for everyone. Then 40 kilometers an hour to, let's see, let's go. $100. 150. Quite smooth. Lane change here, high speed, 170. Suspension is now a little bit stiffer. And now wind noise is picking up. But it's not too loud. Here now at 180 kilometers an hour. That's like close to top speed. A little bit more. Still well to control here. The ECS, electronically controlled suspension, is helping me. It's a little bit stiffer now. Yeah, closer to 190 kilometers an hour. Now we have to cancel. Still well to control on the brakes. Could be maybe a little bit poor, but well to control. Yeah, and back here to 80 kilometers an hour. So that's fine overall. The steering input here is quite direct, but could be maybe a little bit more natural, so to speak. Here we can also activate or deactivate the lane keeping assist, this active lane keeping assist. What I really feel is here the electronically controlled suspension does a good job. Finally, adaptive suspension in here for a Kia or Hyundai model. Not available for all the models. And when you, for example, go back to the normal mode, you really feel that it's smoother in the ride over some bumps. And in the sport mode, you have a little bit more control. But then maybe also here on camera, I don't know, when I'm going like over some, so some bumps in the road and so on, it's really like getting rougher. And once again here in the tunnel, you can see it's a little bit illuminated here, there and there, and then you can see how it changes here: normal mode, driving, eco mode, normal, sport. So yeah, it's actually a nice feature. And we also have the digital speed then in the middle. What was also interesting, this being the all-wheel drive model, we have these gauges here that show the distribution. So when I'm just like, rather static, then actually just front-wheel drive. It's a front-wheel driven platform, but when I accelerate a little bit more, then also power to the rear wheels a little bit here. And it really depends. Here, let's check out normal mode, most for the front wheels, but now sport mode. Let's see if that changes actually. Yeah, indeed. So in the sport mode, you see that directly more power is being transported to the rear wheels. At least that's what I have an impression. Let's try that one more time. Normal mode here. Yeah, that really seems to be the case. So, and that also makes sense. We quite often see that in sport mode, more power to the rear wheels. It will still have front wheel bias, but then at least you get a little bit more power. Here, especially in normal mode, steering wheel could be giving you a little bit more feedback, I think. So in the sport mode, that's a little bit better. Here, I think it's too light. That's rather than focused on that you are able to park in and out, a little bit easier and so on. But that suspension, really happy with that. So that's probably the best about this new generation. So big improvement with the suspension. And when you ask yourself, shall I go for this adaptive suspension? I would say yes. It improves both comfort and sportiness on demand and at the same time. Here, by the way, turning left or right, you can see that these camera images appear. Then there's another blind spot. Or hit the turning indicator in the wrong direction. The police see that? I think they have better business to attend to. So once again here, left, and then I see the camera image on the left side. There's also the blind spot monitor in the side mirrors, but this is like a good addition that you can also see that as an additional warning, because we know blind spot accidents are quite frequent still, and I'm glad that we have these warners. Put it here to the sport mode one more time. Yeah, in the sport mode I have a little bit more feedback from that steering wheel. Normal, it's just too vague actually. Better in the sport mode, but still very light. And steering doesn't give me a direct control like driver, steering and road. So that is not that present. It's not super bad or something. It's just that you don't have like this natural connection, so to speak. But once again, especially in the sport mode, the suspension also gets a little bit stiffer, but without getting super uncomfortable. But the normal mode, I think the suspension is the best, because it still doesn't shake up too much, but it's really comfortable. And suspension wise, probably the best Kia suspension we had so far. And we often said that, hey, Hyundai, Kia and also Genesis, this great, this great, this good, but suspension wise, they lag a little bit behind. Here it's not the case. Absolutely on top with the competition, or maybe even better than some of the competitors. So top-notch suspension here in this case, really. Yeah, that's also one of the key findings for today. So really good to go for this ECS, which is again standard in this GT line we have here today. One more time, acceleration. Let's go to the sports mode when we are already at speed. Here from 85 kilometers an hour. Let's go. 130 and 150. That should be enough for now, because I also want to test with the noise. Let's go back to the normal mode. Here at 150 kilometers an hour, some wind noises definitely. Overall noise insulation has been improved. And let's see what would be a very good highway speed. Yeah, I think here 125, something about that. Yeah, like 70 miles an hour, 120. I would have expected a little bit more improvement as for the noise insulation, so that could be better. Here now, when I have set the cruise control, and also with the active steering. Let's see, now it picked up, yeah. So now I can increase speed here. Good that we still have real buttons at the steering wheel, so that's easy to control while driving. And now I keep my hands on the steering wheel. Yes, it's already warning me. And now let's see, the motorway goes in a slight bend. What's this car doing? Is it smooth, how it keeps me in the lane? Let's see about that. So it is notable, yes, but so far quite smooth. Earlier I went into a construction lane, and that was actually not that well done, so car didn't catch up with that. But here, when we have like very clear lines, it's actually no problem, and that can also be quite good. But yeah, as for the wind noises, it's not too windy outside today, but I feel wind noise, so noise insulation wise, they could have done a little bit better. Obviously they didn't pay too much attention to that. Maybe just paid it just all attention to the suspension then. But nevertheless, it's actually a nice ride. If you compare the driving to the previous generation, so the chassis feels a little bit stiffer, so better in handling. And of course, you somehow get a different impression because here of this, of this dual screen, but yeah, you gotta clean it all the time as well. But driving wise, it doesn't feel that it would have been like the biggest step ever from generation to generation. So I would say if you really like, the new digital gauges or so, and that would be super important to you, then it might be a big step. But if you're now driving the previous generation Sportage and ask yourself, do I really need to sell my current one and need to get the new generation? I think the previous generation was also fine, So sometimes there are new generations where you really say like, oh my God, this is so much better. This really, like the previous generation looks kind of like bad in comparison to that. But here, I think the previous generation will be just fine. This is a slight improvement in driving, definitely, but not the huge one. Especially when you compare like normal suspension. But biggest difference, once again, suspension. And when you say, yeah, so far not too much comfort, then get one with the ECS and you will be just fine. Here the GT line is also a nice pick with these leatherette Alcantara mix seats, so this also will be quite good. By the way, also once again good with the buttons here, you can also deactivate the active lane keeping assist at any time just with the press of a button, and I really like that, and also that we are able to control the climate unit here while driving like this here, just with a manual way. I really like that. I rather not change to the GPS hotkeys here. I rather leave it here on the climate menu that I can see everything there. But I really think that is, once again confirmed here in the driving part, they found this right user interface mix. I still have the screen, yes, with the known problems with non-working third-party cables, as I mentioned earlier. But then again, I do have the real buttons, and here when I want a heated steering wheel, I just press one button and that's it, and I can concentrate on driving still. And that's really, really good. So once again, suspension is the one I like best. Steering could be a little bit better, noise insulation could be a little bit better. Definitely improvement if you compare the previous generation.
Here now in the new generation, the Tiguan wants to set a new mark and saying, hey, I'm top of the segment here. But is it really true? We'll find out with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the all-new Tiguan generation. Different trims, different engine versions we'll drive today as well. And here you can see this one is the R line. There's a lot of sporty accentuations going on in the lower part, high gloss black and this mesh front grille. And we have here as a comparison the Elegance. This is the other top trim, more this horizontal focus, more chrome styling. So yeah, a little bit more elegant approach. And the base version would be closer to this than it would be to this one. Here the R-Line also has more high gloss black all over the vehicle. And in general, the styling, before the Tiguan was more like, I would say a little bit more, angular and so on. Now more round shapes to improve aerodynamics. So it went down from 0.33 to 0.28 in the CD value, which is good. CD value always better when it's lower. Not necessarily in the 20-inch wheels, R-Line and so on. This is worse aerodynamics wise, but the overall aerodynamic form has really massively been improved. You have these air curtains here air going through here and here, going through the wheel arches. Then also a more round hood. Then here it's closed actually. This whole light area is closed, you can see. And more aerodynamic optimizations across the vehicle. And you can also see that here this light integration, it starts here. Then there's the light strip. The illuminated VW logo, not yet. It will follow later. They couldn't get it ready for the Tiguan when it was launched right now, but then it will come at a later stage. And the light logic is you have a base headlamp, already LED, then you have a higher performing LED, and this one is the optional matrix LED, so-called IQ light for best high beam performance. And then you also have the cascading turning indicators, both in the front and in the rear. Oh, and Leah found some Easter eggs. Look at that from the outside, hard to see just when you have the hand behind it. There we go, there's the tiger. You could also better see it from the inside. Aww. And the other side has an iguana. So cute, but why is that? And the reason for that is that Tiguan is a combination, the name of tiger and iguana. Tiger, iguana, Tiguan, you know. I think it's nice to implement that gimmick. And now the most important thing is, it's not an option. It's not only in the R-Line or in the Elegance. It's even in the base trim. That's something special for Volkswagen, right? Major step forward also as for the noise insulation. The soundproof front windshield is standard, and then option you can get an acoustic package. And here at the side windows, front and rear, we have then the dual insulation also equipped with our test cars today. 4.54 m or 179 inches is the length of the new Tiguan, just slightly longer than the previous generation. This one here, the Elegance version, or also the base trim, would have the matte wheel arches here. Wheels from 17 to 20 inch. These ones here are 19-inch wheels in this rather closed aerodynamic design. Then more of this matte cladding here all around. But already here in the Elegance you have this shiny frame trim around the windows. And you can see this is more or less a conservative design. You have a dropping line right here. More form follows function that you have space on the interior. And now coming to the R-Line, if we move over to our second vehicle, you can see more high gloss black. For example, around the wheel arches. These ones are also the optional 20-inch wheels. With the R-Line, 19 would be standard, 20 then also optional for the R-Line. Here in the black styling, the most sinister styling R-Line badge. Once again, the closed look right here and aerodynamic optimizations here. They make the car longer here, also with the top spoiler, so the wind can better flow away right there. That makes so much difference. Also here, see these edges? Right here, this is also optimization for aerodynamics, and it's actually even more important that the car is not getting pulled from the wind in the rear than how much it pushes in the front. So rear aerodynamic optimization is actually the most important thing. Very interesting. Elegance, here the matte, more plastic styling with the chrome accentuation, whereas we have in the R-Line once again high gloss black and this meshed grille structure once again for the sportier, more sinister look. And not sure if you can really see that, but the R-Line top spoiler here is even a little bit longer. So although the R-Line in general is worse as for aerodynamics, this longer spoiler would be then a little bit better. Oh, very important, by the way, this middle light strip, and also later when the logo is illuminated, will also be active while driving when it's dark and the main headlamp unit is also on. Pretty cool, right? Technology-wise is actually the biggest news, the DCC. We have both vehicles here equipped with that, the diesel we're driving later as well. DCC has been upgraded to a DCC Pro that now employs a 2-valve system, so it's more elaborate and can rule more between comfort and sportiness. And even in the infotainment system, you can not only choose presets, but also individually rule that. Here, this new central knob, either manual volume adjustment, that's good, would work when having music running, and then you press it, and then you can either have here the driving mode selection directly, comfort, sport, and so on, so easy to select while driving. You can also slide in this one here, and then select the ambient lighting moods. Not sure if it's necessary to have that here, but yeah, it's an interesting function for sure, like this. So, and then you see what you are selecting, but you can also go deeper in the menu. And then here with the individual modes, this is just information, but here with the individual mode I can have more settings, and then you can also individualize this DCC setting from minus to plus. This is the most comfortable one, this is the sporty ones. And the interesting thing is, it's not only here then. So when you, for example, set it here, it rules between approximately this spectrum. When you have it here, it's like in this spectrum. So it's always plus and minus, but this is kind of like the preset. However, I personally recommend rather a comfortable setting to have a elaborated ride. Still, we'll find out more when we drive the vehicle. Key fob, high gloss black, not my favorite. Door closing sound, VW is always famous for that. And here, it's also good. Nothing super special, but good overall. Here inside, this is like a bright trim. The R-line would be darker. Deco element is already right here. I love the door inside handle, which is in this matte silver trim actually. And what's actually quite cool here, at the inside we have felt covering at the inside door pockets. Elegance trim with the Elegance entry badge. Also here the normal steering wheel with real buttons on the steering wheel. So they have returned to real buttons for all versions actually. VW says they want to use more real buttons again. Good decision. Also we here, our community in Autogefühl has massively influenced that. And then the R-line steering wheel would have here a perforation and also a logo in the lower part. Other than that, the steering wheel is the same. And then these are the ergo active seats. You would start base with fabric seats. Then there are usually microfiber seats for elegance, and this is the optional animal skin trim. Here in the bright styling, you can also get the dark stylings, of course. The thing is that VW in their ID models, in the electric models, go forward and all animal-free and sustainable materials. Whereas in the models with still have combustion engines, they say like, what the hell, we don't care about sustainability. And that is not consistent. Why would you do that? Why are only electric vehicles supposed to be better as for the rest of the materials and the features? I don't get it. This is definitely something to criticize. However, you can get really nice microfiber seats here also for the Tiguan. They perform even better than these ones here. They are softer and more comfortable and more breathable actually. Then here with 189, 6'2", lot of room still above my head. You can also get a panoramic roof still. Steering wheel, menu control, in and out, up and down. So the base ergonomics are actually really good. You can find a good position also as a tall driver. And Leah has already seen that. Yeah, I saw that with the camera. Here, the switch gear, like in the ID.7, forward, reverse, directly here at the steering column. That cleans up the lower middle console where we showed you that new, functionality button. Interior cockpit overview. Here in this trim is bright here. And also this illuminated trim here, the elegance version. So you have this deco element, Tiguan it says. In the R-line it says the R badge, so it looks a little bit different then, but it's only available in the top trim versions actually. Then 13-inch would be standard. This is here the optional 15-inch screen. It's optional for all versions actually. Yeah, typical options policy. The sliders are now illuminated. It's good to have them versus only in the screen, but manual would be better there. In the very, very new generations of the Volkswagen vehicles, the manual climate knobs will be coming back, also thanks to our coverage. Then here you can also directly select the seat cooling, for example. And here the digital instruments behind that. This is covered with an anti-reflective coating that you can better see them. It also has more a matte appearance, I would say. And you can also change, for example, the view in the digital instruments. Sorry for that spontaneous burst of rage. Here, when you have a door opened, then it does not work to change the view. You have to click OK first. Then you can also switch the middle view. Here, for example, also with a full map like this. It's somehow also complicated what you want to have there, because then you have to go back or here to go close again. You can control the inside parts actually. But then you can also go to the outside here on the right. You can go to the left part. I think a little bit over-engineered. I think others could say it's highly customizable. The infotainment system now has this new backend, also has more CPU power, for example. And then here, this is also a main menu. You can select the plug-in hybrid has the static air conditioning. You can even select the zones you want to preheat or
pretty cool then. And now where can I adjust the head-up display? Hey Ida, head-up display higher.
You can adjust settings on the screen.
So then it brings me to this menu at least, and I can adjust the position. There we go. And my favorite feature for the head-up display is you can pick this snow mode. So when everything is white, then the number here, the speed turns to blue. I would maybe drive it like this always. Hey Ida. Hey Idaho. Ah wait, it's hello. Hello Ida. Why do you keep interrupting me?
Oh, that's something I still need to learn.
Yeah, that's what I said, right? Yeah. So yes, the software has become better, definitely, but that's something that sometimes it gets activated and then records everything you're saying here.
Oh, that's something I still need to learn.
Yeah, you know, and then you haven't activated it yourself, but it just becomes active by the activation word, and then it's telling you something. So what I usually do, that I deactivate this activation words, and I just use the button on the steering wheel then for the input for the voice system. That's usually better with most vehicles. Middle console, space above, and then underneath 2 inductive charging pads. They charge quickly, very nice, and are also cooled, and USB-C charging. So here this lower middle console. You have these sliders here in the front. You can also take them out completely. Then you have the cup holders at this moment far in the back. But does it really make sense? However, you have the choice. You can put this one out. Then,
How to do that yet?
okay, well, I know how to do that yet. Then here you can put this one here and put it to the forward position. And I think that would be, there we go, more suitable for bottles in the front. And then,
That's something I still need to learn.
not sure why the voice assistant.
That's something I still
Thank you.
Well, you see, yeah, this is definitely better now, is it? Rear doors, hard pack. In the front door, it's soft. Here is actually hard pack. Huh? Huh? Well, for that price, I would expect something different. And then here, the rear bench, you can slide it forward or backward. You can also adjust the angle here, like this. Wait a minute. Ah, there we go. So like this, or all the way back. Then the middle part, slide down, and you have yeah, I remember with the static review I had some problems with that as well. So these are the cup holders. Let's say I wouldn't exactly say I'm very convinced of this new mechanism. Let's take it that way. So then here, the other seat, you can see how the angle is varying. There we go. And we can also slide this one forward or backward. And when I'm in the backward position and I'm driving on the passenger seat, what am I talking about? When I'm driving in the driver's seat, that makes sense. Here, there's still a lot of legroom left, no problem. And headroom here with 1A9 or 6'2", also no problem. So it's a good offering of space here in the rear. And then we have also USB-C chargers and also seat heating for the rear when that's all powered. Trunk and luggage capacity. It's also cool to do it here, 2 in a row. 2 for 1. 650 liters for the normal setup, 475 for the plug-in. But what are the differences? Here, normal combustion engine, 1 meter or 40 inches in width. That's the same. The length, 88 centimeters or 34 inches. It's just more luggage capacity because you have more room here in this area. And we also have, for example, you can get a 220 or 230 volt normal plug to fold the seats. Pull this one here left, pull this one here on the right. Why doesn't it fold? Ah, okay. Yeah, that's because the electric seat function that goes automatically back. I'll soon fix that. First of all, here underneath, more space than in the combustion engine version. You can also house a complete replacement tire here, because here, the subwoofer, when you have that option, it is now in this form here, so it leaves space for a replacement tire or for the plug-in hybrid battery. Soon going to show that to you. So you need to put that electric seat more forward, that the rear bench can actually fall down. That's the thing with these electric functions. So they automatically go back for comfort.
seating, and then we go here. This is then the length, and I would be sitting as a tall adult, 170 in meters, that's 67 inches. And now the question is, what about the plug-in hybrid? Let's move over. So on top here, it's the same, just here on the side, because they put the 12-volt starter battery right here in the left.
So for the plug-in hybrid, they had to move the fuel tank, and right here in this box, underneath this box, you can find the high voltage battery from the plug-in hybrid.
But you can still have some space here for charging cables. So this is then actually the main difference. As for engines, well, I love that dual shot here. Right, always. Then we have a 1.5 TSI, and it's the base engine, 2 horsepower specs. In the 150 horsepower specs, it's around 9 seconds in the acceleration figure. Always MHEV, mild hybrid system, and also the dual clutch transmission 7-speed DSG. On that base of the 1.5 TSI is also the plug-in hybrid version, new with a 20 kWh net battery, 80 kilometers or 50 miles of real-world realistic range. So massively improve the plug-in hybrid electric capacity. It's also important for taxation reasons, for example, especially in Germany. Then there will also be a 2-liter TSI, both with all-wheel drive, and the 2-liter TDI, the diesel, also in 2 horsepower specs. The bigger one we also drive today, 193 horsepower, also with all-wheel drive. The latter one, the big diesel, is then the one with the highest towing capacity at 2.3 tons. The other one, then depending on the engine version, a little bit less. So all of the engine specs have more or less their advantages or disadvantages.
Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge, all new Tiguan, testing different engine versions. Here starting with an all-wheel drive version of the TDI. So 7.7 seconds in the acceleration figure, so a little bit stronger, and let's see how that behaves. From 40 kilometers an hour, we'll accelerate it out. Let's go. Plop, 100. Oh, that even triggered the Leah meter, just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, she's used to like really sporty vehicles nowadays. Yeah, so decently quick. And when we're driving in the city and so on, then you hear this typical diesel nailing, we say in Germany. So, yeah, rather unpleasant sound indeed. But here on the motorway, the difference is rather minor. I was also picking up the sport mode. I can go back to the comfort mode, then the RPMs go a little bit lower. And then actually at higher speeds, the difference between the engines is not that relevant, I would say. And here now on the motorway, 1 kilometers an hour, we can also experience the driving assist. Here travel assist is also then upgraded for this vehicle. You set it here, you pick the different mode, travel assist, limiter or ACC, and then you set your speed then also on the steering wheel, and here you set different 10 kilometer steps, and with resume you can set 1 kilometer steps above. Here at the moment 110. And it's really good to have the real buttons back for all versions, so it's easy to press these real buttons then. And let's see how good does it handle. Here also shows me a green steering wheel symbol. That means it's the active lane keeping assist. So the car is doing that semi-autonomously, so it's level 2. And so far, let's see how this car is being centralized quite well. Now there comes like this slight bend in the motorway. Let's see how the steering reacts, if there's any hectic movement and so on. Yeah, that's actually very smooth. Yeah, flawless. That's really good. The steering, indeed, I would like more feedback, but what you can also do is go to an individual mode. And in the individual mode, to do that while driving is a little bit complicated. Here you have to go there, and then you can set the DCC, the adaptive suspension, but you could also put, for example, a soft suspension, but then the steering to a sportier node. And yeah, that's maybe also a good choice then long term to have your personal individual mode. Oh, thank you for the heads up. Interesting overtaking maneuver by the truck. Yeah, but here, good on the brakes, also good reaction from the steering. You don't have to turn the steering wheel that much actually. And what's also really cool here, one click on the assistance systems, I can easily click there, lane assist is deactivated, and also this EU speed warning, I deactivated it in advance even.
No one has seen it. So it's really good. When you're annoyed by some systems, they need to be on always at start of the vehicle now by, just mandatory from the law. So the manufacturers, the only thing they can do is make it easy for you to deactivate them, and that's exactly what they did here. So I think hats off to VW that they... Am I just praising VW for something they have done on the software side? That's a premiere. So yeah, usually it's always that they have great chassis, great suspension and so on, but they were lacking behind in software, and now they're also picking up with the software things and finding good customer-oriented solutions for the software, like here with the deactivating of the assistance systems. So that is actually a good thing to test also while driving, that you know that it's actually easily handleable. What I also feel here on the motorway, so the acoustic windscreen in the front is standard. This one here, by the way, also the one with the heating foil, and I don't see any heating foil. You know, there are two solutions. There are these, like the individual heating lines in there, the old technology. I always see it and it's like, I can't drive that way. Some can, some not. And then this is like this integrated foil, and it looks like there would be nothing. Still, it's a heated front windscreen. The only problem would be if you have polarized glasses on, then you can see some reflect. I think it's still manageable, it still works, but that's the only thing. You could maybe see some, I don't know. I haven't seen it myself yet. Did you? Maybe? I don't know. Oh, now we can drive 130. Let's see, 110 to 130. Oh, I need to get off the motorway actually. But you see also good on the brakes as well. Nice to put the turning indicator in. Yeah, so it's actually good reaction also from the drivetrain, from the brakes and so on. Overall good feeling. And that was like, always like more than 1 kilometers an hour, more than 60 miles an hour. And the noise insulation is really very good here. So the front windscreen is, we have a beeper. Front windscreen is standard insulated, and this one here is also equipped with the optional insulating pack. So that means then that the side mirrors, the side windows, front and the back also have dual insulation, and we felt that it's really very silent in here. Definitely more silent than the previous generation. Then the better aerodynamics that also come together. So that is that's really good, especially for longer motorway trips. Super silent in here. The whole vehicle feels from driving actually really premium. It feels like a premium ride. I love that. What I really want to test, probably the most exciting thing, because we have the new DCC here. So when we go here to the individual settings, now set to the most comfortable DCC sitting. So just feel how the individual waves are being evened out. It feels really soft. I mean, it's also a quite good road, but there's some waves in there, but that feels really elaborated, like more upmarket segment. Now let's put to the sportiest setting. The touch driving. Let's go here. Wow, that's notable. Now you feel like these individual bumps in the road way more clearly. That's interesting. Wow. I mean, now of course we have a little bit sportier feedback. Yeah. So here, sportier feedback then. When we go a little bit slalom alike. But now let's do the slalom again with the most comfortable setting. I mean, the slalom reaction is actually quite good in both cases. So I wouldn't say when... Let's do here again. What do you say? Yeah, in slalom reaction it doesn't differ that much. It's more really when you're running over the bumps. That's just like bumpier in the sportier setting, but you have a little bit more feedback from the road. But actually, I would drive with the most comfortable setting, honestly, because the car doesn't feel unsporty from suspension here. It doesn't lean too much in the corners. But then again, it's such a smooth ride. So my tip here definitely would be individual mode, steering to sport, and the DCC all the way to comfort. And then you have a great driving setting here actually. Now the plug-in hybrid, and I try to do an acceleration electric only. Let's see if I can manage. Well, that was 0 to 50. It could be a little bit quicker, but I want to be gentle because when I use the pin down, then also the combustion engine goes on. But you can see you can even accelerate quite quickly, all electric. This is also the focus of this new plug-in hybrid, that it's more electric than before. Not only with the higher range, the bigger battery and so on. So realistic range around 80 kilometers, always depending on your driving profile from this 20 kilowatt hours net battery. But also in general, smoother and just more silent and less combustion engine. For example, before when I go here to the S shifting mode, usually the combustion engine would hop on, but that's not the case here anymore. And also when you select the driving profile, here from comfort to sport, it also doesn't go on. So before the engine went on, now it doesn't do that, only when you really apply the power. And we can also compare that. So for example, here in the comfort mode, let's see when we hit the throttle, there we go, it's on. But here in the sport mode, the thing is that, there we go, we have more response from the engine as well. And you might always wonder, isn't that bad for the engine when it suddenly hops on at a high RPM? Of course, it's always better not to do that in a way, but sometimes it's, maybe needed. So I asked the VW experts what do they actually do as a countermeasure. First of all, like the coating from the inside of the cylinder is a different one. It's a more elaborate, stronger one that helps against possible bad effects on the engine. And also, if the engine is not running, at some point they use then a little bit of oil that's running through the engine to just to give it enough fluid that it doesn't run dry, that you don't have bad effects on the engines then in that respect. So there are some countermeasures as for that, so that you're not get a broken plug-in hybrid engine pretty quickly. But I would recommend to not maybe have the situations frequently, and try to gently push the engine on then. But at some point maybe it is needed for safety reasons and so on, and at least you know that you can theoretically do that. So here also the transitions, they also worked on that the all electric driving and then the mixed hybrid driving, you also have smoother transitions in between, and you also have better recuperation. So when I hit the brake pedal, recuperation is also more possible in total than before, and also there the transition is better than before. What's also interesting is that we can change the recuperation levels, but we don't have like a B mode here. This is still the S mode, which is predominantly then for the hybrid driving when the engine is on. So you need to adjust the recuperation modes then in the infotainment system. Doing that easily while driving is not it's actually a little bit complicated, to me at least, as for the driver. But we have set here our hotkey. Thank you, Leah. So she's the best recuperation expert. So exactly. And then Leah can select between low, automatic, and high. So lower, it's like I lift the throttle. There's mainly rolling, So and then we have automatic or high. We can whatever. We can start with high. So when I accelerate and then foot off throttle, there's more recuperation. You can also see that in here. It's not exactly a super strong one-pedal driving feeling, but it's notable, definitely. And automatic, which would be the standard setting, is also checking out like the ACC, is there a car in front of me or not, or also according to the topography changes on the map. That's very interesting. And even more interesting, since they homologated that with the low setting, you can have all of the 3 modes and then restart the vehicle, and you have it in the last mode selected. And that's good because maybe you favor one mode or the other, and then you just stay in that mode. At some point you have to recharge 11 kilowatt AC, 50 kilowatt DC peak. So that then will take you 25 minutes from 10 to 80% state of charge. That is also massively quicker than it was before. So the whole plug-in hybrid system is more usable. You might wonder, why do they employ such a high buffer? Because when I say 20 kilowatt hours net, and maybe you read on some spec sheets like 25, 26 kilowatt hours. That's the gross figure. And they have such a high buffer that they can maintain the same value for you as a customer for the whole lifetime of the vehicle. The battery does lose some capacity over time. Yeah, but not like the whole buffer in a couple of years, you know. But I think it would still be better that you offer more from the start. Maybe then you lose a little bit over a couple of years, but then I had more before. So yeah, but that's definitely like a strategy thing they decided. If you use both powertrains at the same time, you know, like here in sport mode, when you push it on, you can even have a better acceleration. Let's go. Ooh. Plop, that's 80. That went quick. So, because the plug-in hybrid drivetrain here will be the second quickest in the lineup, quickest with around 6 seconds in the acceleration figure, will be the 2-liter TSI with 265 horsepower on all-wheel drive. This one here, front-wheel drive only. You maybe also heard and felt that we had some wheel spin in the front, so much power just in the front axle. Now the pure petrol engine, 1.5 TSI. Let's go. Plop, that's 80. Little bit downhill though. I mean, acoustic-wise, the coolest, I feel. Have the pure petrol engine sound. Of course, it's in a way then also the slowest of the ones in the test today, but it doesn't feel like that. So, yeah, and you have a quite natural feeling to that engine here. Weight-wise, if you ask yourself, hey, the plug-in hybrid, is it much heavier? It's about 250 kilograms, so there are like 500 pounds difference. This is not that you would extremely feel that in most situations. So at the same time here, the TSI is the lightest, and it kind of also feels light in a way, but not that the plug-in hybrid you would say, hey, no, this is heavy and this feels completely different in the handling. In the handling, they are all really good indeed. We have to see if, you know, also reliability and software and like electronics keeps up to that level. I cannot promise that, but from suspension, that is really great, and how the car feels as, you know, as a whole. Just, you know, 2 days earlier, we've been driving the Peugeot 3008, which is the exact competitor also. We have driven it in the all-electric version though, so can't one-to-one compare it. It's also available with the comparable engine though, and we have to say we both experienced that. Talked to Leah about that too, that this one here, the Tiguan, is maybe more conservative in the interior, styling-wise and so on, but it feels so much more elaborated because of that great suspension and the steering feel and so on. This is something where it really shines, especially with the DCC, now called DCC Pro, so I can really recommend to go for the adaptive suspension. Maybe not all the other bells and whistles, but the suspension is really something you should go for. Engine or the drivetrain is always a combination of entry price and the usage. Taxation reasons might push a lot for the plug-in hybrid. Yeah, that's probably also then a good choice if you can save a lot of money, especially with the company car. For most private use, then here the 1.5 TSI might just be a good pick. And also consumption-wise, well, you can also score some good values around 6 liters, 1 kilometers, like 40 mpg US, 50 mpg UK, in really good ideal conditions using that MHEV smart hybrid drive system. If you have some more dynamic driving, rather towards 7.5 liters in 1 kilometers, like 30 mpg US, 40 mpg UK. This would also then, the latter also count for the TDI in the all-wheel drive spec, because that also consumes some more fuel. So there you see that TDI and TSI come very close. Only when you go like really high-speed motorway, then the TDI can catch up and is very good in the consumption, relatively low. Whereas the petrol engine has a wider span of consumption, so the TDI doesn't vary so much in the consumption. That's the thing. And the plug-in hybrid drivetrain, you can only always say it depends how much electric driving and how much petrol driving you do for that hybrid drivetrain.
The Skoda Kodiaq has been known for being a good price-performance family SUV. Here it is now in the new generation, and we will drive it for you today and tell you how good is it
And also, how does it compare to the sibling, the VW Tiguan, that was recently also launched in a new generation? With Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the front. The all-new Kodiaq is really bold in the front. This is also the Sport line, exclusively for you here today. Then there is the black frame around the grille. Otherwise, you have a bright frame around the grille. And this color here is called Race Blue. Yes, my favorite color. That's what we call Thomas Blue here, also on Autogefühl. Yes, these t-shirts will soon be available in our merch section. We are preparing that for you at this moment. Then in the lower part here, this honeycomb style. So over very cool styling. Headlamps with a nice daytime running light, so-called Skoda crystal lighting. This is the matrix LED you can also get. The length, 4.76 m or 187 inches, just grown a little bit in length. But this one here is actually significantly longer than the VW Tiguan, about 22 centimeters. Then you can see these crossover wheel arches. These are 19-inch wheels. 19 inch is standard with the Sport line that also has this badge right here. You can even go up to 20-inch wheels. And also the Sport line has a blacked out, it's a kind of D pillar or the last pillar here at the back part. Otherwise, this is also in a bright design scheme. It's more form for this function. This vehicle is about space on the interior. And on the rear, once again with the Sport line, a blacked out Skoda lettering, really large here now in this new generation, and also more a functional design. I think it's a good approach because we will have a lot of space on the interior. On the technology side, very important, here with the Sport line, you already get a sportier suspension. But optional, for all the versions, you can get the DCC, now called DCC Plus. Volkswagen calls it DCC Pro, they call it DCC Plus, but it's the same technology. Now a 2-valve technology for the adaptive suspension, the dynamic chassis control. And that one actually promises more comfort and more sportiness at the same time. Is that true? We will test it in the driving part for you today. Turning indicators, wow, they look amazing here, already in the front right. I like that new styling. What about you? And by the way, you can hardly see it from this angle, but when you go a little bit lower, then you can see you can also get an illumination in the front grille for the new Kodiaq. It's kind of split, I would say, but yeah, a nice element at night. And in the rear, you also have these cascading turning indicators or hazard lights if you have this matrix LED option. And yeah, you have seen it correctly. The rear light is just at the outside parts. This middle part then here is, yeah, it's just a like physical graphic, let's say that way. It's no light behind it or something. And now Leah is showing us one of the most famous features in the Skoda, the Rolls-Royce-alike feature. There we go, there it is hidden, the famous Skoda umbrella. There we go. And with a button you can actually open it. Yeah, it can also be a sunshade, and when you press the button again, then it closes. I did that wrong last time. Yeah, against wind it's not that resistant, but the opening and closing function is actually quite good. Yeah, and it always takes time, of course, to put it back in place again there. Key fob, high gloss black. I don't like it that much, and this is also one of the reasons why I don't like it. It just collects these scratches so easily, actually. Then here, door closing sound. Very solid. And you also hear that this mechanism is also sounding a little bit. Here, this door sill protector. It's a very nice and easy system, so you don't get scratches in the parking lot and so on. It's not only available for the front, but also for the rear. Look at that. Here we go. Yeah, that's, I think, a very cool idea, isn't it? Then, inside of the doors, a soft touch here on the top part, also with a nice structure. I like the build quality. And the Sport line here has these sporty in it. Here you can really feel that. It's also a real structure you can also feel. So that looks and feels really nice. Microfiber then inserts here for the Sport line, here with these contrast stitches. Then you have these Skoda features like the small trash bin. You can get it on both sides, and also felt on the inside. Is a really thick felt covering as well. Then new Kodiaq here, new generation with new steering wheel. You still have rear interface at the steering wheel here, for example, for the volume jog. One click button for the heated steering wheel. I like that. Unfortunately, they don't offer any animal skin alternative for the steering wheel yet here. But for the seats, there are a lot of alternatives available. Base fabric seats or also microfiber seats. For example, also in the sporty version here in the Sport line, which is really special here with these
holes opening, a little bit more, yeah, it's a kind of big perforation, I would call it, and especially the shoulder accentuation here, and this is microfiber and leatherette, so this is actually a very nice choice here for the Sportline here today. And the comfort in these seats is really very good, so headroom, plenty left with 189 or 6'2", and they really give good shoulder support here, nice and soft from the microfiber, all electric control here by the way, so I'm really happy with the comfort. Steering wheel here then in the manual control, up and down, in and out. And a very special feature here for the Kodiaq is this split glove box. Here there's no, sorry, actually I wanted to start with the other one. This is now very bad in the storytelling. Let's just pretend that this didn't happen. You have not seen anything. So there is the normal glove box in the lower part. And now comes the big surprise. There it is with the second top one. Okay, we don't edit it out. It's maybe a little bit funny as well. Yeah, but and also here in the Sportline, we have the microfiber covering of that one here with the contour stitching. So that's a very cool idea. And once again, this inlet we've seen at the inside of the doors. The soft touch dashboard on top here with structure. And this is a 13-inch screen. It's an option. You would start with 10-inch, so a little bit smaller if you just prefer it a little bit smaller. You know, some prefer it smaller, some prefer it bigger. You know, that's the thing. And here, smart dial setup. That's what I want to show you directly. You can pick 4 different functions for these lower dials in the middle part. Like here, for example, the fan speed. Click it one more time. Click it. There we go. Here, then is the volume selection. One more time, this then for the DCC selection, for the driving modes. So you can have that all in one dial in the lower part. And that's, I think, a very nice, fresh solution. So you can keep the rather conservative layout we know already, we're used to. At the same time, make it a little bit more digitalized and individualize the thing. And I especially appreciate here the manual climate unit. That's cool to have it here. And also here is the push feature. We have seen it with Range Rover first, I think. Here then for the seat heating, for example. So that's a cool idea. Also, when you have set the other temperature in a different way, then you can here hold to sync left and right. Digital instruments are also customizable, whatever you want to see. So the fuel info, map, and also these gauges. But I here also rather prefer this classic look, yeah, probably like this. And you can get a head-up display in the windshield. This is also the snow mode, then the numbers are blue. Middle console, also microfiber styling here in the Sportline. You can slide this one forward or backward, open it, more space underneath. And then these two here in the front, you can also slide open, 2 USB-C chargers there, but you can also have 2 inductive chargers. They both work indeed. And you see it also fits with an iPhone 14 Pro Max. Why do the girls always have the big smartphones and the boys have the smaller smartphones? Why is that? Can you tell me? I don't know, yeah. Then here, let's slide these ones open. And here you have cup holders. They're really small, I have to say, and more space right here. When you use the climate unit, you also have this overlay then here in the infotainment system. More to that also while driving. They have really upgraded the software, so it's quicker to select now. Here you can select in the screen, but you can also use the dial then from below. So both is actually possible, and assistance systems control is either here or also in the instruments there. You can also quickly access it. And you also have this large integration of Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, both wired or wireless, how you choose it. Now it gets really exciting. First of all, the Kodiaq is available as 5-seater or as 7-seater. Today we have the 7-seater, soon gonna show you. First of all, let's start with the second row. Here we have these sunshades you can get. They go also very wide, it's a very good idea then. Also the inside of the rear doors is, let's see. This is hardpack now. It's structured but hardpack, so not soft touch here like in the front, but we have the nice microfiber inserts here in the Sportline, and also this structured insert, then this design decor element. And the doors at the rear are also not felt covered, so that's maybe a little bit disappointing. Then we have so many features here. First of all, this strap here to change the angle of the back part, like this, so more laying back or more upright, both is possible. Then you can slide the bench forward or backward. So this is like a 1/3, 2/3 split. Then we have here two bags, like a bigger one and this like a smaller one, for example, also for a smartphone. But we also have these holders you can get. Don't have to do it. I'm not the biggest fan as for crash safety and so on. But of course, it's convenient not to hold your smartphone, or you can also put it like this then, horizontal format if you watch something. Or you can also, usually that's more meant like for, you know, tablets, iPads and so on. You can here adjust then the size and so on. So, but I think this is a better solution than these always built-in holders, because this holder here you can also just easily remove. So when you don't need it, better to remove it for the crash safety, I would say. This is a good and easy solution overall. Then we have, first of all, I can show you here, this is 2/3 then for sliding forward and backward. Here, this middle tunnel, we have a climate unit. So with seat heating, when the car is running, then also the seat heating would appear. Climate unit separate for the rear seats, 2 USB-C chargers. And this lower unit, this is in addition, you don't have to go for it. You can also take this whole thing out. This would be possible. And when it is in, see here these rubber lips. When you fold them back in like this, then they become cup holders, or you fold them away and then they're just like this cubby hole. Then we have the middle armrest. Not adaptive, these cup holders though, so maybe the kids will spill it. The middle part can also be folded separately. You can see the top tether behind. Other than that, ISOFIX there in the front on the outside seats each. But we really have to say, yes, the quality is amazing once again here also for the rear seats. Nice with the microfiber. But also how Leah is standing here now filming, the door doesn't open too wide. You know, so when you want to access child seats here, see here, I would rather wish for almost 90-degree opening. So getting large child seats in and out is maybe not ideal. Let's take it that way. Headroom in the rear, plenty available, no problem at all. Legroom is also good. This is the seat I would be driving, and you see here these sport seats are very voluminous. I would guess that the normal seats are maybe a little bit slimmer than, but is enough legroom definitely. And here once again this shade. So overall very well usable. There's so much to tell you about this rear experience, and that's also what the vehicle is really about. And now it gets even more interesting. What about the fifth? Wait a minute. I mean the third seating row. That means the 6th and 7th seats. Yeah, that's 1, 2, yeah, 7 seats. Let's just check it out. All right, third seating row. Now the comments are coming in, like Thomas in the third seating row with the time codes, because it always looks funny when I'm a tall person reside in tiny places. So, and then there's like a lever on the top part, and you can push that thing forward like this, and then yeah, the entry is fairly good. So either you can put this third seating row up from the trunk like this, or you can also put it up from here just like this very easily, and then you can also fold it down like this. Let's see if there's any other adjustment possible. No, that's basically it. Also with a nice microfiber in the Sportline, so they didn't save that. So, and then you can push the head restraints up like this. It's also decent. And the thing is now, so when, yeah, like this, I could sit here. As for the headroom, it's possible. You even have own cup holders here, like one cup holder. But if we push this bench back here, then of course it gets problematic, because that way I could sit here, but then look at that front part there, second seat row. It's not possible that anyone sits here. So that's why I did a test, and I pushed this seat here actually in the length, the way that I could still sit in the second seating row, because like this I could still sit there. Can I fit behind it then here? Not really. So here my knee is almost like here. So this is not for tall people in the third seating row. It's more like a, there, let's see again. They also don't have ISOFIX here in the third row. So this is more, let's say, yeah, for kids that are already old enough not to need like a large child seat. But then again, they're not too old, they're not too tall. So it's only for something in between, yeah, or if you're not as tall as me. So it's nice maybe to have the option. But at that length, maybe it makes more sense to stick with the 5-seater. Or what would you say? Trunk or boot, 845 liters with the 7-seater, 9 or 10 liters with the 5-seater. Let's take a look. First of all, here we can play some Tetris, because these are these boot splitters that I can, prevent things from falling all over the place. Yeah, well, why not? Very nice idea for sure. So quite flexible. The length here, by the way, the width first is 1 meter or 40 inches in the middle part between the arches, but then in the upper part it's more like 120 in meters or 47 inches, and the normal trunk length is 1 meters and 7 or 42 inches. Then let's fold the stuff here, release it like this, and on the other side like this. There we go. You see, to put it fully flat, you have to go around, then push them down, then they're fixed like that. And you can see this is here just an additional cover. Actually, you can fold this one here up or away like this, and they're actually attached here to the third seating row. So it's not a must-have. There we go. More space underneath, also for a replacement tire, and you can also leave it like this in this position. And this is also here a slidable cover. You press it once like this. The only thing is it's very thin, so here this edge here is kind of sharp. You have to be careful with that. And to fold here the 6 and 7 seat, you can put these straps here, which are underneath. You can put it through this cover. Maybe I'm not the biggest fan of this cover, but again, it's optional. And then you can also pull them up like this. Yeah, have to remove this one first, naturally. Sorry, didn't think of that. So this is of course important, because otherwise no one can sit there anyway. So like this and like this. Under the hood, quite a lot of engine choices. This here, the entry petrol level engine, 1.5 TSI mild hybrid MHEV system, 150 horsepower. We'll drive that one here today, but you can also get a 2-liter TSI, stronger petrol engine. There you can also get an all-wheel drive choice. Or what about the 2-liter TDI, also in 2 different horsepower specs? This engine here is, however, also based for the plug-in hybrid version, which is the most major upgrade, I would say. Now a 20 kWh net battery, massively increased, so like 80 kilometers, 50 miles of real-world range on the pure electric side. And also the recharging is definitely way quicker than before. Sport mode. Yeah, that was actually quite decent. It's of course not the quickest engine. This here, the 1.5 TSI mild hybrid system. The acceleration figure, official one, is just under 10 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 0 to 60 miles an hour. So it will not be the strongest engine in the lineup, rather the weakest. But for most cases, since it has a turbo, it will still serve the purpose. It has also a low entry price. We start here with some motorway driving, so going to 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and it's actually decently silent in here. This is also a thing about this new generation. It is more aerodynamic, and I also feel that they worked on the noise insulation. That is the turning indicator is actually quite nice in the sound, right? So let me just turn it again. Yeah, I think that sounds rich in a way, like not rich in the money sense, but rich, like a rich sound. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and I think it gives you good comfort also here with the Sportline sport seats, microfiber, and they hold you also tight in the corners, so it's a good comfort experience definitely. Steering here also a little bit depends on the mode, but still, although we are in the sport mode, it is rather soft, I would say. We can also switch it then here back to the normal mode again, and it's even a little bit softer, but overall it still gives you a quite good feeling of what you're actually doing on the road. And I'm really happy that we can still select here the drive modes in the lower part. Here, easy from sport to normal again, and I press it one more time, then I can also select the volume back again, and yeah, you can also have more functions on there as we've shown to you in the interior part. Probably for driving it's best to select the driving modes there. Yeah, for example, the volume I just changed here with my left thumb on the
steering wheel, so that's definitely an easier thing to do. Also, when I realized, it's getting a little bit hot in here then now. It's getting hot in here. Both? Yeah. So we can adjust the temperature here easily while driving. So I love this user interface. It's also to me easier if you compare it to the Volkswagen Tiguan, the C-Star model. They kept here a more classic user interface, and here it's also interesting. So I criticized it last time while driving. This is the car internal GPS, and you have this climate overlay here, this visualization, which is indeed actually quite nice because it's placed in a lower area, and then if you really don't have to look at it, you can also have it up here. And then last time it was the case that you had the overlay on the car internal GPS, but this was not the case for the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto map. And now they changed it actually. So here when I'm, for example, in Apple Maps and I control the climate unit here, there's this overlay, but last time it went black, like the whole GPS screen went black. This time it did not go black. So here the normal overview, so they fixed this software-wise. It's actually quite good that we find out some stuff, that we can also report that to them, or maybe you as a customer can also have some comments underneath the video, and then they can also work on the software status. Now we switch the motorway. This is, by the way, the speed warning. So here we go. Good feeling for the steering wheel. Does it actually feel different than the Tiguan? They come really, really close. Although the Kodiaq is a little bit longer, you don't feel too much of it, I would say. Maybe just a little bit. But overall, since they sit on the very same platform and share so much in the tech, they really come very, very close in the driving. It's more than a question of if you want that extra space here from the Kodiaq. To accelerate onto the motorway, this 1.5 TSI is sometimes a little bit sluggish. So if you have a lot of higher speed motorway situations, I would probably recommend then to go for the 2-liter TSI, for example, or then for the diesel version. The plug-in hybrid will of course also give you more punch. It's not that it's not okay, you know, just that I'm not the biggest fan of downsizing. So when there's a bigger engine with higher displacement available, usually also for, you know, long-term durability reasons is actually quite good. On the other hand, this mild hybrid system can also save some fuel so that you have a lower fuel consumption. And one more thing to talk about is the DCC Plus, as Skoda calls it, you know. DCC Pro, it's been called at Volkswagen. And on individual then, there we can go to configure, and then we can rule from comfort to sport like the whole way. This new 2-valve technology really gave us so much comfort. It's really awesome, and I would actually pick the comfort setting all the way and then sport steering. So that would be my individual mode, because that way you have greatest comfort from suspension, but it's not that it would be shaking up or so, but the steering gives you more feedback. Of course, it's not the sportiest SUV in the world. You know, that's what you cannot expect from the Kodiaq, also when we're here in the roundabout or something. But since the suspension is now even more comfortable, this new DC Pro lifts, or DC Plus as Skoda calls it, it really lifts it on another level. And I like that. And I think it very well plays together with the added noise insulation, and then here this upgraded suspension, that it's even more comfortable overall. So this makes up, you know, especially like these are the main two differences if you compare the previous Kodiaq to this one now. So about the assistance systems, here there's a blind spot monitor. When I'm setting the turning indicator, the side mirror is also flashing, that's helpful. And then you can of course also activate the cruise control. You have different assistance systems available. You can also activate or deactivate quite easily. That's I think a good thing, because if something is annoying you at some point, like an assistance system, you press here one button and then you can, for example, deactivate the lane assist or deactivate the speed warning. That's a quick thing to do. So yeah, that's actually quite good. Then I can also switch between ACC and the travel assist. The travel assist is the most elaborated system, and I have a separate stalk column here left below. And then I can also have the most elaborated cruise control, so to speak. So here we go, I set it, and then I can also adjust the speed here with this stalk column. And now the car is basically doing everything for me. So keeping the distance to the front and also keeping me in the lane. and so far so good. It's a very smooth system actually, so there are no hectic steering movements. It's still level 2, so you're supposed to keep your hands at the steering wheel at all times like this. But overall they worked also on these systems, and they are way more elaborated than here now in this generation. And I mean, there's a lot of cars around us here at the moment, so quite a lot of traffic, and I really feel that they worked so much on noise insulation. We've had it with the Tiguan as well, and this is probably, to me, the biggest difference then from the previous generation Kodiaq to this generation now. That's just more silent, more relaxing ride. And yeah, together with the nice sporty seats here, they are sporty but at the same time more comfortable, I feel. This gives a very good Autobahn cruiser here. What do you think, Leah? You're already dreaming, so you agree. That's always a good sign, you know, when she's like thinking, yeah, let him talk, you know, I'm just relaxing here. It's like and it's always a bad sign when she's like, very like, you know, I hope this will be finished soon. But this is definitely like a relaxed sign for that. Yeah, so very good performance here driving wise on the motorway in all the different aspects actually. And to me, really the thing that I have the good user interface, at the same time I have all modern systems that I maybe want or maybe need. So here also, when you just like more steady, not so much acceleration, then also the 1.5 TSI is absolutely fine, you know. We just do one more lane change when we're here at 100 kilometers an hour, see how that performs. Car doesn't shake up at all. Really calm driving experience. We have 19-inch wheels mounted here at the moment. This is probably then still a good choice between you have great visual and you still have some comfort. 20-inch wheels, I would probably not go for them because they maybe look cooler. At the same time, you also lose comfort when you have less dampening comfort than from the tires. So I think this year, as a Sportline 19-inch wheels, is I think a very good choice to configure this vehicle, because it gives you comfort. At the same time, you have a nice sporty look. When you say, hey, I don't want like this boring family SUV, I want something, you know, with spice. And I think this is what especially the new Kodiaq here in the Sportline really nails.
Consumption here today with the 1.5 liter TSI, very good. Well, we went mainly 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour on the motorway, so ideal conditions. We went with about 6 liters on 1 kilometers, that's 39 mpg US, about 47 mpg UK. Excellent result, of course. Will be a little bit worse when you have more city traffic and so on. But you can see, yes, it's not the most powerful engine, not at all. But then again, with this mild hybrid system, it can also save some fuel. With a better mix of city and so on, you can add like a liter or maybe like deduct 5 mpg or something. Then you get a more realistic value when you also have other driving conditions. Pricing here, you start around 40,000 euros as it's spec'd right here. You can also exceed some 50,000 euros. However, as for the price performance, it's still actually quite good. And especially here in the new generation with the updated adaptive suspension and the better noise insulation, it gives you a more premium ride, definitely. Comparison to the Tiguan, yes, this has just more space and the possibility of a 7-seater. Remember that the EU Tiguan now is just the small one. There will be a bigger, the Tiguan, which also adds then more seat possibility, which will be more similar to the Kodiaq actually. And this Tiguan will be then the US Tiguan. Yes, sense, logic. Sorry about that. That's how VW is planning it. But getting back to the Skoda Kodiaq, overall, I think once again a very nice result and a nice upgrade here in this new generation, especially because they kept this rather classic user interface, but mixed it with some new digital elements. Then I would only wish for a completely animal-free interior. That's maybe on my bucket list then here for this vehicle. But good that we also have the 7-seater possibility. Not too many possibilities for families if you want more than 5 seats. This is definitely a very nice one.
So which one to take home now? The Toyota RAV4 points with a great reliability and especially on the Northern American market with a very low entry price considering for what it is offering. Soon we also expect an all-new generation. But so far, this very vehicle, be it new or used, will be very relevant. The only downside I could feel is, first of all, the interior seems not the most premium, is sometimes also a little bit dated. Toyota isn't on top of the game what the interior quality is. However, then again, as I said, the reliability of the engine and so on, and also the economy of these hybrid drivetrains, for example, both are excellent. If you drive really high speeds, for example, like we do in Germany, then the noise insulation is not the best above 100 kilometers an hour or above 60 miles an hour. If you don't drive really fast often, then it doesn't play a role, but just to know that. The Honda CRV is a good overall choice, especially because it has one of the most flexible interiors. So it has a lot of space on the interior, and it has also a classic user interface which is really good to control. The hybrid system cannot really keep up with the Toyota hybrid system, it's not that efficient. The Nissan Qashqai is a very good all-rounder. Meanwhile, not offered anymore in Northern America, but in Europe actually it is one of the most affordable compact SUVs considering what it delivers. The Ford Escape, as it's called in Northern America, or the Ford Kuga, as it's called in Europe, is also a very good all-rounder indeed. They have actually used a license from Toyota back in the days for their hybrid system and then developed a similar hybrid system on base of that. That's why some of the numbers are sometimes equal. For example, this 2.5 liter hybrid base also used with Toyota, but they say that they have developed their own hybrid system on base of that. Suspension and steering is actually pretty good. The overall car is not the newest or most fancy one, but it delivers. The same also goes for the Mazda CX-5. There especially the driving fun is really good. So I feel that together with another competitor I'll mention later again, the Mazda CX-5 is one of the most fun to drive, and I also found it better than actually their bigger internal competitors like their new big SUV lineup. With the CX-60, 70, 80 or 90, depending on the market, the CX-5 still feels like a real Mazda to drive. The Toyota Corolla Cross has a ridiculously low price in the entry on the Northern American market. In Europe it is only offered with rather high trims and is not that cheap actually, but still it's a very good price-performance ratio and also very efficient as the hybrid drivetrain, and once again you profit from that great reliability from Toyota. The VW Taos kind of replaces the Golf in the North American market in their entry versions. Golf only has GTI and R there anymore, so the Taos is, so to speak, then the Golf SUV. It is once again nothing special, but also does a good job. However, customer service, we heard from our US viewers, should not be the best in the Northern American market there, and VW also recently hasn't shown good reliability. And the Kia Sportage, still also a nice pick, interesting user interface. The exterior design you kind of split in love and hate, and of course to mention the Hyundai Tucson is the sister model of the Kia Sportage, and the Tucson with the facelift we will also soon present here on our channel. Both are of course still a very relevant pick in this market. The VW Tiguan is one of the best sellers in Europe. It will also soon come in a new generation for the Northern American market, which will be more like the upcoming VW Tiguan. And the VW Tiguan has one of the best driving behaviors here in this test, especially with the new DCC Pro, so an updated adaptive suspension. It is also rather calm when you drive really fast. This is all laid out for the German Autobahn especially. Then again, from time to time VW suffers from software issues. The Skoda Kodiaq is almost the same story, only that the interior is even more flexible. So together with the Honda CRV, the Skoda Kodiaq offers the best interior space, the most versatile one, also considering families and so on, and also offers a 7-seater version. So that is the special thing about the Skoda Kodiaq. Technology-wise, it is more or less identical to the VW Tiguan. So now where does that leave us? Considering the Northern American market, Toyota actually makes the best offers. The reliability is great. Then again, yes, you don't have these high speeds on the Northern American roads, like we for example have on the German Autobahn. That's why this rather bad noise insulation you have at higher speeds with the Toyotas is not that relevant. And also you get the Toyotas, the RAV4 or the Corolla Cross for relatively low entry prices. On the European market, of course, higher speeds are a little bit more relevant. That's why you can profit, for example, from a Skoda Kodiaq or a VW Tiguan with its very good driving behavior. However, I would only go for a lease then, because they haven't shown the best reliability recently. So if you go then for a leasing, then you're more or less safe if something majorly happens. Then again, all the other competitors are very good all-round vehicles, so it's hard to make a bad choice in this case, actually. So if you ask me at this moment, Depending on the size you need on the North American market, I would probably go for a RAV4 or going rather cheap for the Corolla Cross. And in Europe, I would still go for more driving behavior focus, but then be safe, go for a lease with the Skoda Kodiaq or the Tiguan. But which one would you take? Tell me in the comments. And as I said initially, soon to come the Hyundai Tucson facelift here on our channel, so stay tuned for that or tune into new comparison episodes.